No, we're not here yet. We're going live. Hello, we are live. Hello and good evening to you all. Hello, if anyone is out there. I don't think anyone is out there yet, so you probably aren't expecting me, given I wasn't here yesterday or the day before because of various circumstances. But here I am, and one person has tuned in, so I hope you can hear me. I hope I'm loud and clear. At least there's a bit of light in the background. It's no longer dark. You can see a little bit of the garden. You can see a bit of a palm tree, but that's about it. You can't see anything else of the garden, but we've been doing lots of gardening here. Hello to Andrea Bono. Hello to Expialidocious. Hello. Hello to you, and good evening to all of the others that are coming in. Good evening to you, Adam. Hello and welcome. We are delighted to have you with us, and I say hello to Mr. Man and Carol and Claire Louise. Hello, Claire Louise. And there's more and more of you coming in by the second, so that's very good. Lots of more of you. Now you're now up to 24, so there's lots of you coming in. You haven't forgotten me. So there we are. Anyway, absolutely wonderful to have you with me. And wasn't it a wonderful day yesterday? The Grand National. I'll come to that in a moment. Whilst we wait for a few others, a few of your questions, please. We will come to other people when we have a few more people here. And hello to Victoria. Lady Min is in the room. Victoria is in the room. What do you say to Victoria?
Lots of love.
Lots of love to, yes, there you go. You can hear her. Yes, she is making a good recovery. She's out of the hospital and doing better. So it's a good thing. And you're all sending best wishes. Carol, Expialidocious. Yes, you're getting lots of messages. Carol, and thank God, Mr. Man, and all of you. There are lots of messages of support for you.
Oh, thank you.
And she says, thank you very much. So we won't talk about it anymore for the moment because it's not really the thing to talk about, on a Sunday evening. But she is sending you her best wishes and thanks for your kind wishes that you all sent over the last days. And many of you sent your prayers and kind wishes when, I had to go to that hospital and I didn't really know what to do. But we're glad she's on the mend. Yes, Mr. Lee Kicker. You're glad Mr. Lee Kicker says you're very glad you're on the mend. And lots of you are saying hello to one another. And Expialidocious said, we missed you.
Oh.
So there we go. Here we are with the blue sky in the background and a bit of a palm tree, but it looks a bit ridiculous. I'll have to try and reposition this chair so the garden can be seen because it's a silly angle that I'm sitting at, to be honest. We don't really need a bit of a radiator in the background, so I'll have to figure out a better way of setting up this, but you can never figure it out until you actually start filming. So I will move the chair around tomorrow. Maybe I'll have the door open or something. That could be a way forward. Right. Anyway, so whilst we're waiting for a few more of you to arrive, because, I have neglected you for 2 days. And we'd love Victoria to give an analysis of the Grand National. So whilst we're waiting, maybe, Victoria, do you have anything to say about what did you think of the grand result for Willie Mullins at the Grand National? First, second, third, was it fifth and seventh? He got out of the top, he got most of them. Absolutely fabulous. Willie Mullins did a very good job yesterday. And as for his son, that rocket horse, fabulous. What a fabulous, fabulous story to, rocket home in the way it did. As The Guardian called it today, the pocket rocket. Absolutely fabulous. And all these detractors whinging and whining about these horses that fell over, all of them have been very well looked after. And, it's very sad to see a horse fall over. It's very sad to see a jockey get injured as well, because several jockeys have died recently. But, as I read an interview in Tatler today with Harry Cobden, and he broke his back at one point, and you get up and you carry on. He said, I had 250 good rides, and I didn't fall off for 250, but he's ridden hundreds and hundreds of rides. So inevitably, he said, you could fall off 3 times in one day, and that's how it works. Victoria tipped the second winner. Yes, so Victoria has been good, and she's very pleased that Patrick won, her friend. Kathy asks, Victoria, do you know the fabulous Paul Nichols? I used to supply fish to the manor at Ditcheat. I don't know where the manor at Ditcheat is. I assume it's in Wiltshire, because I believe that's where Paul Nichols' stable yard is. I think he has several hundred horses, and Harry Cobden is one of his wonderful jockeys. Absolutely fabulous. They're all great. I love Brian E. Frost. I love Rachel de Bromhead, all of these people. There's so many great jockeys out there, so many great trainers. Horse racing to me is a fabulous thing. I know some of you will be going, oh, it's horrible, it's cruel. No, the horses love it. And Victoria will tell you this. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to watch. And I enjoy it very much myself. Victoria sees Willie Mullins a lot here in Paris. So anyway, we raise a huge almighty glass of red wine. I'm on the some kind of Bordeaux that's not very particularly good. I don't know where I got this from. I think it's from the local supermarket, not the local shop. I think next time I'll buy something a little bit better. But anyway, it's quaffable, as they say. But I raised that to Willie Mullins. What an amazing success to have, out of the 7 top horses, 5 horses that won from his yard. What an amazing success story. And to have his son win. Wonderful. Absolutely lovely story. It will go down in the history of, the Grand National. I've got all these books about weird things that happened in racing, and there's a weird thing. He won 5 out of 7, and his son won number 1. Kathy likes to support her local point-to-point. I love a point-to-point. I've been to many, many of those over the years. My parents love point-to-points, both of them. So, point-to-points are great things to go to. Absolutely good fun. Good day out. You take your picnic if you want, or you can find another way of consuming, I'm sure. But there we are. Christy Gilbert loves to go to Residio Downs in New Mexico. Well, I haven't been racing in New Mexico, but maybe one day I'd perhaps love to try that out. Have I eaten any horse whilst I've been in France? Asks Barry. No, I don't eat horse. No, I don't want to eat horse. But look, I'm not going to disrespect other people's cultures, and if that's what they wish to do, that's their choice. It's not for me to condemn or decide how it works if they are not breaking the rules. But I would say never eat a horse or a dog or a cat, because they're the most loyal creatures. I don't understand why anyone would want to do that. And coming to that, I would like to know why many more of you still haven't signed my petition for the sloth. I've got 411 signatures. We reach a milestone at 500. So I need another few more of you, and then the whole thing will be shared a little more widely. So if you could please make sure your friends, family, followers, everybody signs the petition. We need to get the petition for the sloth. I was listening to a radio program this very morning on Radio 4 where they discussed sloths. So the sloth is a wonderful creature, and it needs all our support. So please share the thing. Yes, you say down with the Icky Ecclestons. Yes. Well, my petition is not particularly an attack on Tamara Eccleston. I cannot stand Tamara Kristen, as everybody knows. The modern day Bet Lynch meets Peggy Windsor, from the old Vic. She is a foul-mouthed trollop, and she's awful. She's a loudmouth, and she's brash, and she's vulgar, and her and her sister had no respect for anybody. And the father is just a convicted criminal, coffin-dodging fraudster. But no, my petition about the sloth is about the sloth. The majority of the text is about the sloth, because I don't think sloths should be kept as pets in England, in Britain, anywhere in Britain, because sloths belong in the rainforest. Let's have our sloths go back to the rainforest. They should not be, okay, in a zoo, I can accept, yes. And Chester Zoo have just opened a new giraffe enclosure, and I believe it's about 10 hectares or something. And they're putting the giraffes with all the other creatures, and it's all become a bit of a hoo-ha. And I read some article about that a couple of days ago. I'm not really into zoos. I used to like going to zoos as a child because I love animals, but I gradually grew to realize that zoos are not very nice places because those animals shouldn't be in those places. And here in France, we went the other day to a garden centre. And I like this garden centre, and we buy lots of plants there, and I do all my gardening. We do all this gardening. But they keep all these poor animals and birds. And it's disgusting. These birds are all mixed up. They're not native to one another. They're just any old bird. They just throw them all in a cage. And they're in this little cage flying around. Can you imagine these poor birds? Birds should be free. I feed the seagull here, and the seagull today has been a little bit randy. It's been having a bit of naughty with its other partner, and it's living on the boat next door, and it's making rather a racket. It's the mating season for the seagull here. So, it's getting a bit out of control. So I don't think we'll be giving it much more food because I think naughty, not nice, be a bit quieter because we don't need to be woken up in the middle of the night by naughty. So no, honestly, but this garden centre here, they have all these lizards and they have all these chickens and they have fish and I've never seen anything quite like it. It's horrible. It's absolutely cruel. I do not like cruelty to animals. And I ran my petition against Larissa Switlick, and I got 21,000 signatures plus against her. And I ran my petition against this Merrilies van der Meer. Larissa Switlick was the one who shoved a sex toy up a sheep in England, and then she killed the last species of goats. And she goes around with Donald Trump's children and killing anything like elephants or lions or whatever she wants to kill. And then there's this Merrilies van der Meer, who I got her on copyright fraud. I'm getting shouting in the background, but I'm trying to explain. No, her partner, husband, whatever he is, complete fruitcake, whoever he is, bought her the right to shoot a giraffe for Valentine's Day. And then she posed with its heart that she'd ripped out of the poor old giraffe. Giraffes, of course, are more muscle than anything else. They don't have much on them other than muscle. They are an interesting species in this sense. And I'm very, very interested in animals. And I think what a horrible, horrible thing to do. Why would you do that? But I got her on copyright fraud because she used somebody's music. So I got 50,000 signatures nearly against her. I haven't stopped her being on Facebook or anything yet. And that Nick Clegg should be held accountable. I think he's a disgrace. When he was running Facebook, why didn't he ban her? They should ban these people from this Instagram. They should take them away because they're disgusting. Abusing these beautiful creatures. My friend Stephen Burkhoff and I, we stand up and we are counted. We don't have any problem. I went to a dinner once with him, and somebody offered to pay to go on a bear hunt with the owner of the Evening Standard, Evgeny Lebedev. Mr. Lebedev offered to take people shooting bears, and he and I, well, we didn't tolerate it. We stood up and we said, this is a disgrace. So then he tried to make a publicity stunt and said, oh, I'll offer not to go on the bear hunt. Well, the fact you offered to do it in the first place sums you up, mate. You're not our mate at all. You're a horrible, horrible person. And everybody else in that room, they were terrified because they didn't want to upset the owner of the Evening Standard, which frankly now it's a weekly paper. It's closed down. Virtually, it only operates one day a week. That man, he's not a man, he's a mouse. Mr. Lebedev, terrible person, absolutely appalling. Why would you want to go around killing beautiful bears? What harm is the bear doing to you? Leave the bear alone. Absolutely awful. Nicola says it right of the birds that are in the cage. Birds have wings for a reason. They can't fly around in this horrible, horrible, tiny, it's like a fish tank. It's not even a big cage. It's awful. There we go. But no, horse racing, as you say, Christine, is not animal cruelty in your opinion. People who train horses like Victoria love horses and they look after them. The jockeys, they love these animals. They are the most wonderful things. They have great lives. The horses I've ever been involved in, they live to 21, 30 years old, some of them. Amazing. They're fabulous creatures. So no, I don't think that's the same kind of thing as putting a bird in a cage. And little songbirds should not be locked up with other kinds of songbirds that are not native to. And that's what they do in this garden centre. This garden centre, and I'm not going to name it because I don't want to row with it, but honestly, what they do is appalling. I go there and I feel very upset. I would like to go and just open the things and let them out. But of course, if you let them out, where are they going to go and how are they going to survive? Because they've been kept in this caged environment. Once you're like that, my friend, John Rendell, who was a lovely man, I'll tell you a story, he went to Harrods and he saw there was a lion in a cage. And it was called Christian, this lion. And I'm sure many of you know the story of Christian the lion. And John was married to my friend Liz Brewer, who's an amazing lady who's still working and doing amazing things with parties. And she's fabulous and great fun. And John didn't like this lion being in the cage. So he bought the lion with his business partner, and they took the lion to their shop where they both worked in King's Road, Chelsea, and the World's End. And the lion was only a cub, and it lived with them, and it would go and they'd take it in the churchyard around the corner, and it would run, and it would be free. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it would walk up and down the King's Road. It went on the bus. It did everything. This lion, but this was a lion that had been brought up in captivity, so it wasn't a wild lion. But they realised that this could not go on, so it went to somewhere in, I think maybe it was Surrey or Berkshire or somewhere like that. It was somewhere not that far from London, and it lived in a kind of suitable place. And then they said, well, it's time for it to go to Africa. And they took it to this wonderful man who ran a game reserve. And they put it there. And gradually it became part of the pride of the lions. And it became the head of the pride. And this lion, they went back to see it 10 years later. And the famous video, and it's one of the most famous videos of all on YouTube, and please watch it. It's Christian the Lion. You can find it. It's very easy because it's been watched millions of times. It's not like my videos. I'm just boring on me. But this lion is far more captivating, and Christian comes out and he starts hugging them. He remembered. He did not forget them. And he brought all the other lions, and they all behaved. And sadly, the sad part of the story is, the man who ran the game reserve eventually was shot by the poachers, and then nobody knows what happened after that. But the wonderful part of the story is, that lion was removed from the horrible environment of Harrods and was taken to Africa, where he was free. And he enjoyed most of his life in freedom because of the wonderful John Rendell. And John no longer is alive. And his lovely daughter, Tallulah, is a great friend, lovely singer. And, her mother, Mrs. Liz Brewer, a very nice lady. And they are, it's fabulous that that lion inspired so many other people to get into conservation. And, there's all the others that do it. The International Fund for Animal Welfare, which I support, and I've organized many events for, and I want to do some more with them. But my friend who does all their marketing has moved to Los Angeles, but maybe we'll try and do something this year. It would be a wonderful thing to do. And I'd love you all to come along and support conservation of animals. I think that would be a good thing, because nobody should be cruel to beautiful wild animals that should be free. Cats and dogs are a different matter because they are domesticated. Horses, all these kind of things, they live a different kind of life. But lions, giraffes, leave them alone. Honestly, it's the best thing ever. Anyway, there we go. So there we are. So have you any questions for me before I talk about something? Any questions for me? Right. Okay. My thoughts on Virginia. Well, we're going to be coming to Virginia shortly. Did I know Dandy Kim from Chelsea? I don't know who Dandy Kim is. No, who's Dandy Kim from Chelsea? Panch. Sorry, I don't know Dandy Kim. I've no idea who Dandy Kim is. We're getting further questions about Min. Yes, she's here in the background. Are you going to say another quick hello? We need a quick hello from you.
Hello.
Yes, she's here in the background. So she's enjoying her Coca-Cola. So she's having a very nice time. And we've just had a kind of prawn stir-fry type thing that we threw up from absolutely nothing, because we couldn't get many other ingredients today. But we will try harder tomorrow. Right. Lots of good wishes to Min. And yes, right. Michael Caborn founded the Ann Summers shops. Was a very colourful character, has passed now. The only person I know called Caborn was a Labour MP who was involved with Bernie Ecclestone, of all people. Very curious character. So I don't think I knew Michael Caborn. I don't know what he was called. I can't remember the Christian name of this other Caborn, but there we go. What do I think about fox hunting? Well, I'm not anti-fox hunting, but I personally wouldn't want to choose to do it myself. But, other people are entitled to do whatever they wish. But there is no fox hunting in England anymore, so it's kind of an immaterial issue, isn't it, really? The fox hunting does not exist. So it doesn't really matter, does it? Because it's over. There we are. Do I remember Charles and Diana Ingram? Are you talking about the man who was the cheat on the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Mr. Lee Kicker? I don't know. I think they were the major, or whatever he was, the captain. I don't know. I think you are, yes. He says, well remembered, yes. I never met them. My friends Neil and Christine Hamilton, I believe, did meet them. I think they were a bit of an odd pair, let's be honest, but I don't know. I can't really comment on, the coughing major. He was a major, wasn't he? Because he was a coughing major. And he was a cheat. And he tried to win $1 million and he got caught for cheating. So, and he claims he didn't cheat. And then they had all sorts of other scandals. And I don't know what they're a footnote in history. I would say those two. They're not really very important. They're with these big brother people, the Jade Goodies of this world, who, she was a tragic soul, but Sophie Anderson, who I also happen to know, all those kind of people, they just pass on and move to another life. And she's now in Ireland, married to a Polish count of, I don't know what she's doing. Last time I spoke with her, it was very odd. Anyway, there we go. Yes, he was the coughing cheat. Yes, there we go. I was correct. Yes. Right. Thank you to Rolling Stone, who says, hit the like button. That's very kind of you. There's over 134 of you here. And I wasn't even, I hadn't been here in 2 days. So well done for all of you turning up. 140 of you now. You're coming in thick and fast. There are rumors Prince Harry is coming back to the UK. Have I heard anything? Oh, I don't think so. No, I think he's stuck with the old Mocky Meg in Montecito. So I haven't spoken with Samantha in recent days. She's changed her phone number, but I must note down the new one and send her a message. You've reminded me. So that's an important thing to do, because otherwise I won't be able to keep in contact with her, will I? So, right, he has more court cases coming up. Yes, he's always got more court cases coming up, and he's got the inquiry into Centre Biale and all of that. So there we are. Anyway, right, we're nearly at 30 minutes, and when we get to 30 minutes, I'll talk about Virginia, because I know that's what you want me to talk about. So I'll give you a bit of an update on old Virginia's situation. But as you know, I don't know Virginia personally. I've never spoken with Virginia. I've spoken with many other victims of those horrible people. But look, I'll come to that in a few minutes. So, right. Right, I see. Well, many of you have comments already. I shall leave it at that. Have I met Lady C? I have met Lady Colin Campbell. I met her in November at a book launch by Karen Phillips at the Chelsea Harbour, of all places, with her son, adopted son, one of her adopted sons. Look, I found her perfectly pleasant to chat to. I don't think she and I agree about many, many things, other than Meghan. She doesn't like Meghan, but some of her other views, like today she was banging on about Lucy Letby. I do not like Lucy Letby. I think people who are apologists for Lucy Letby really are a little bit misguided. I don't care what happens with the outcome of Lucy Letby, but I will never believe that Lucy Letby is completely innocent because of the way she behaved. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
We don't like Lucy Letby because there's something very odd about that woman's behavior. Very, very strange. Lucy Letby, the mother and father, there's something odd about the way they brought that child up. They smothered her, she claimed, so she couldn't have relationships, and she felt she would never have children. So she did what she did, allegedly. And she wrote notes. Well, not allegedly. She's been convicted. She's a convicted killer. For the moment, I can say this. She is a convicted murderess. She murdered people's babies. She took their children away, and then she wrote them letters. That is not the normal behavior of a nurse or a doctor. You don't start writing letters to the family. You leave them alone. It's not your business. You keep out of it. And then she writes in her diaries, I did it all. I am evil, all of this rubbish that she came out with. Well, and this David Davis, this Lord Sumption, Nadine Dorries, Peter Hitchens, put a sock in it. And they criticize anybody who dares to say she's guilty and say, oh, you're just stupid. There was one of those articles yesterday. It was, you're stupid if you don't believe she's innocent. Well, I'm sorry, a jury believed she was guilty. And I don't believe that every single person who goes to prison is innocent. Otherwise, we wouldn't have prisons, would we? There'd be no need to send anyone to prison if everybody was innocent, if nobody ever did anything. There are so many people I campaign for who deserve to be free, who are victims of miscarriages of justice. And people like this Lucy Letby, she's muddying the waters. And it's all about her because she's blonde, she's white, she's the daughter of a middle-class family. She ticks all the boxes. I can tell you, if she were ethnic background, if she were working class, they'd throw away the key. They'd have forgotten about her long ago. And I am not a racist, and I am the most anti-racist person out there. I have friends from every background, and I think it is a disgrace that this woman is being supported just because of that. And that is how we see it. My friends at the Daily Mail, some of them, they agree with me. They feel that this case is going to be a complete whitewash, and they'll let her off probably, and it'll all be, oh well, it'll be a technicality. There won't be a proper retrial. I don't think it'll ever happen. I think Lucy Letby destroyed the lives of 7 innocent families. They had the future of those 7 beautiful children to look forward to. Those children could have gone on to do fabulous things for the world, but they never had a chance because of Lucy Letby, who murdered them. She killed them. She is a baby slaughterer. She is one of the worst child killers ever to be known in Britain. And how do we know she didn't kill many more? And I do believe that could be the case. But, oh no, she's white and middle class, and she lives in a nice little semi-detached house, and her parents are, decent people. I'm questioning who these parents are. And today, this lady, Colin Campbell, who I had no problem with personally, I met her in November, said, we should all be shouting from the rooftops in support of Lucy. No, Lady Colin Campbell, you're wrong. I've no problem with you personally. I enjoyed meeting you, but I don't agree with you. You are completely 100% wrong. Don't insult these poor families anymore. They need to be left in peace and left to grieve. I think it is a disgrace that these poor people, and they keep saying it, these families, we want to be left alone. We've had enough. We've had the trial. She is convicted. We don't need any more. Surely most people would think those poor families, what about the brothers and sisters? Not just the parents, there's the brothers and sisters, the grandparents, everybody else who never got to see these 7 children, and I believe more, grow up. So please, Lady Colin Campbell, don't go around saying shout it from the rooftops for Lucy Letby and her wonderful parents. Her parents, they're just disgusting apologists for a baby slaughtering mass murderer. She is revolting. She makes Rose West look civilized. Because Rose West, herself was a victim of Fred West. This one, who was she a victim of? Nobody ever did anything to her, as far as we know. At this stage in the case, nobody has ever said, oh, Lucy Letby was abused by X, so that's why she did Y. Most people I know who have been abused, who have become involved in cases of this type, they don't know right from wrong. Like Ghislaine. Look at Ghislaine Maxwell. She was abused by her father, and she became an abuser. But what was Lucy Letby? She said her parents smothered her with love. Well, why would that make you go out and kill other people's babies, you strange, revolting, horrible, evil woman? I don't care what anyone says. I know that I'm going to be very unpopular for saying that this woman was a monster. She is a monster. And one of you saying that Rose was worse than Fred. One of you saying that Rose was not a victim. Well, Rose West was manipulated by her husband. I do think so, yes. But I don't think, I would not call her a victim. No, she's an evil, evil monster, but she's not as bad as Lucy Letby. Lucy Letby acted alone. Rose West acted because her husband encouraged her. I do think there is a huge difference, actually. Totally revolting people, all of them. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
But I think that Lucy Letby is one of the most sick people of the modern era. We had very sick people who, were mistreated. And for example, Ruth Ellis. Ruth Ellis was mentally ill and they hanged her. The last woman ever to be hanged in Britain. But she deserves some kind of clemency because she was mentally ill. And she only killed one person. And, okay, she should not have done it. But she is not like the baby killer who takes away these people's children and then starts pestering them with letters. What a weirdo. Honestly, no other nurses would behave like that. I've spoken with my sister about this because my sister is she's an eye surgeon, and she works with lots of nurses, and she said no, that would not be considered correct conduct. You cannot be going around, because that's breach of Data Protection Act and GDPR and all that nonsense that we all come out with now. Anyway, for a start. But seriously, pestering them. And then they find out that she's killed their children. How must that make those poor people feel? That's disgusting and reprehensible and wrong. And this Nadine Dorries, this Peter Hitchens, this Lord Sumption, David Davis, particularly, he's the worst. He's trying to make a name for himself out of all of this. They are just latching themselves onto a bandwagon because they think, let's support the nice white middle-class girl who comes from a nice semi-detached house and has these respectable parents. Shame on you. Shame on you. Absolutely appalling people. You make me sick. Anyway, enough about her. I've had enough of talking about her. I'm sorry I banged on about it, but it does make me very, very, very upset that like with the animals, you don't treat children in that way. These beautiful children could have had wonderful lives. And that woman is a convicted baby murderer. She slaughtered 7 children that we know of. Now, she could have killed more, and I don't put it past her because the woman is a complete nutcase. And I believe she's having a great time in prison playing cards with all sorts of other fruitcakes like herself. So I believe, from what I've been led to believe by people I know in the know. Absolutely appalling. Right, Russell Brand. Okay, you dislike Russell Brand, but you are uncomfortable about the charges from 1999. Should we allow such time to pass before the CPS prosecutes? Russell Brand should be prosecuted just in the same way that Jimmy Savile should have been prosecuted. Prosecute the bastard in his lifetime. Bring him before the book, and if he's innocent, he's innocent. I do agree with you. It should be a fair process. If Russell Brand is innocent, he will be found innocent, like many others who've been before charges such as this, But look, nobody did anything about Jimmy Savile, so why don't we actually change the rules and then deal with someone in their lifetime? The text messages I've seen between Russell Brand and one lady who made very clear comments about the way their sexual relations went on. That was manipulative, if that is true. So let us see if the law process agrees with that. I think that is the fair thing to do. Russell Brand has been charged with 4 counts, from what I believe. Is it 4 or 5? I can't remember. I think it's 4. And Russell Brand should face the full system of the justice system, and he should return from America, which I believe he's going to do. He's claiming it's all a witch hunt, like with the Tate brothers. He's just like them, and they're revolting as well. But remember this: Russell Brand also is another animal abuser. He allowed his horrible dog, his huge dog, to attack a wallaby and murder it in Henley-on-Thames, where he lives. And that is disgusting. And I really loathe and detest this man for it. I know a little bit about Russell Brand's relationships with certain ladies, and they didn't like him in the end, and it didn't last long. I put it that way. But I don't know Russell Brand. I've never met him. He should be subject to the fair justice system, and let him turn up to court and let him see what happens. But frankly, I don't like the man. All that God Squad bothering that he does, getting people baptized in the River Thames and in his underpants with Bear Grylls and all of that, is a bit weird. He's definitely very odd. And he closed down a pub as well. Now, that's a real point of contention to me. I don't like people who close down pubs. 34 pubs close a week in this country, and he closed down a pub because he wanted to turn it into some kind of YouTube studio or something for himself. Absolutely awful man. Don't like him, and I don't like his way. What he did on the radio with Jonathan Ross and that poor girl and the poor grandfather, where he talked about what sexual things he'd got up to, humiliating the girl and the grandfather. And Jonathan Ross should have been sacked for that as well. Absolutely revolting people. I don't like Russell Brand. I never have, never will, but I don't know the man, and I don't know if he's guilty of this, but I do know that he is a toe rag. He's a piece of toe rag. He is not the kind of person I'd want in my company, and he probably wouldn't want me either, but I'm very lucky. I would never be welcomed anyway, so it wouldn't matter. So I say bring on justice. And bring on justice for the poor wallaby his dog killed. That was disgraceful. Absolutely appalling. You don't like Jonathan Ross. Is he the one with the speech impediment? He does talk in a very strange way, but I don't know if he has a speech impediment. But no, you shouldn't hold that against anybody, because we all have different issues in life, and that's not a fair thing to criticize someone for. But there we go. How many pubs have closed in the last 10 years? Well, at the end of the Second World War, there were 100,000 pubs in Britain, By the end of last year, there were 39,000 pubs, if I recall, in Britain. So we've lost over 60,000 pubs. Isn't that amazing? Most of them are houses now, or they've been pulled down, and the car parks or the whatever. Absolutely awful. Long live the pub. On the wonderful Magnet. I'll give them a plug. The Magnet have launched, I believe, this week. They're launching their own beer. They're launching their own lager. They won an award at the Camera thing. So the Magnet in Broadstairs are launching a lager of their own. Obviously, I'm not in Broadstairs, so I won't be trying it yet, but I will go and visit and I will give it a go. Lady Men likes the Magnet in Broadstairs.
I love it.
We love Nikki and Will, the owners, and the lovely Samantha and Steve and the lady who used to work there, Karen, and all the others. Fabulous people, the old Magnets. So, yes, the smoking ban killed the pub. No, I wouldn't say so. I'd say the supermarket killed the pub, actually. Jamie Ann Curry. No, it's the supermarket, because they can sell cans of beer for 50p a can if they so wish. So people don't want to drink and drive, so they don't go to pubs, because these pubs in rural areas, they're too far to get. You can't reach them. It's very hard to get to, and the people would rather stay at home where it's cheaper to drink. So no, that's what's killed pubs, I would say. Tax on beer is killing pubs. Yes, well, we're up to £5.01 for a pint. It's absolutely shocking, isn't it? Absolutely awful. No, it's not the breweries that do it. It's the tax man. So, for example, on a bottle of gin, bottle of Gordon's, nothing, not that I'd be drinking Gordon's, but because I can't stand the stuff, 37.5% evil, and they reduced the ABV so they could pay less tax. You'd be paying, last time I looked, you'd be paying about £6 or £7 in tax. The liquid costs about 50p. The bottle costs about £1. Then there's the marketing cost. So that's where the cost of alcohol goes. It's the tax. The tax is the killer. And Rachel Reeves, Queen of Thieves, has done it again. She said, a penny off a pint. A penny off the price of a pint. That's what she said last year. And now it's gone up again. So her penny has already been wiped out. 1 pence. Do you think that would make a difference to the average drinker? 1 pence? If you're going to drink 12 pints, that's 12p. Absolutely stupid. What is she, cuckoo? Is she gaga? What's wrong with that mad woman? Absolutely off her rocker. So there we go. Oh, Janet Evans. Well, she was famous for watering down the drinks, as we all know. Well, good old Janet is no longer in business, thank God. But she's still a Conservative councillor in Kensington. Absolutely scandalous. Weights and Measures should be paying her a visit again. But, of course, they can't. She doesn't run a bar anymore. But there we go. Right. Okay. So, lots of you here. Several hundred of you here now. So I'm going to pour myself a glass of wine and I'll talk to you about Virginia. Good old Virginia. Well, 41-year-old Virginia seems to be backtracking a little via her brother. Now, as you all know, I know an awful lot about Ghislaine Maxwell. I never met Jeffrey Epstein, but I did encounter Ghislaine. Ghislaine and her brothers and her sisters, who I've also spent time with, but I didn't know who the sisters were when I spent time with them because they had other names, surnames, that is, in California. A very strange family. They, they've had their lives dragged through the mud. In Ghislaine's case, I believe quite correctly. In her brother and sister's case, guilt by association with her just tarnishes your name, like their association with their evil father who stole 500 million. And I can go into all of that again and again about the La Hogue Trust and everything else, but tonight we'll talk about Virginia. So Virginia, who appeared at Kennington Street in 2001, and I was the person who proved that Ghislaine lied to the FBI about the bathtub, because Ghislaine claimed the bathtub was a half-size bathtub and no kind of any relations could have occurred in the bathtub. I got into the house and the photographs, and I did the story with the Daily Mail about how that bathtub was full-sized. And, the pictures of the landing, they're real. Lady Victoria Harvey, who I happen to have met a number of times recently, she's coming out with all this rot, as usual, because she's trying to just make a name for herself out of it all. I don't dislike Lady Victoria, and Lady Min here likes Victoria. She met her as well. And they talked about fashion. It was very simple. But I will say that Lady Victoria Harvey is really barking up the wrong tree about all of this. She really doesn't know anything about this story. She's claiming that, this proves that Prince Andrew should get all his money back and because this girl has been in a car crash where she hasn't died. Okay. She claimed in a post that she would be dead in 4 days. That was last Sunday. And of course, we've now gone 7 days. But, she has broken her silence. She did have kidney renal failure. She's been in a specialist urology hospital. And the bus collision, the family are saying, was not alone in being responsible for her injuries, it is now claimed. And she has spoken with People magazine. I was able to fight back against Ghislaine Maxwell, she said, and Jeffrey Epstein, who abused and trafficked me. I don't doubt that happened. What I do have a problem with her is she brought in other people. So, was she that innocent? I don't know. I don't know the woman, and I cannot say, it's terrible what happened to her, but it's like with Ghislaine. Ghislaine was abused by Dad, Robert Maxwell, the monster, the bouncing check, as he was known, and then she became an abuser. Many people who are abused become abusers, and many people who are abused don't know what's right from wrong. And she says, again, I thank everyone for their support. But my problem with Virginia is all these other people, they didn't need to suffer. And it's wrong to have encouraged other people if this is the case. Now, Virginia has the right to deny this, of course, but my sources tell me that, things went on. But that does not mean Virginia wasn't a victim herself. Virginia was a victim, because why would anyone pay her vast amounts of money? Ghislaine settled with her. Ghislaine paid her. Jeffrey Epstein paid her. Prince Andrew paid her. Prince Andrew paid probably the most, we believe, but we don't know because it's an undisclosed settlement. Her brother, Sky, who I think is a bit of a rambling oddity, He's not very clear, and his language is very odd. So please excuse this is not me speaking, this is him. He said he clarified by saying she was told by doctors she would have died in that time frame if she didn't receive treatment. Injuries likely weren't caused by the bus crash. Let's be clear, she never stated it was the bus accident. This is where it gets all a bit odd. The cause of all her other injuries. Nobody ever said her liver issues and kidney failures were ever from that. Well, her posts were all about the 110-mile-an-hour bus crash, so I don't quite know how this comes about. We still didn't know if it is it. I don't know what that means. I'm not a medical professional. That's up to her doctors to determine, he said. And her spokeswoman, this is Virginia herself, to People magazine added, she's marginally better, but still in a serious condition, treatment in Perth. So she's in a hospital in Perth, Australia, not Perth, Scotland. Now, I am somewhat skeptical about some of this. The bus driver said it was a minor crash. She said in her post it was 110 miles and kilometers an hour. Well, a minor crash is not 110 kilometers an hour, so that doesn't make sense for a start. The Australian police said, there was only $2,000 of damage to the car. Well, the car obviously wasn't written off. There was some carer driving the car, and the carer was much older than her. And she's living on a 1.3 million Australian dollar farm, 40 acres, without her children and her husband, because she's estranged from them. And she's due to appear in court on the 9th of April. So that's in 3 days. So the timing of this is very curious, isn't it? She's meant to be at the Joondalup court for a family violence restraining order on the 9th of April. So do the math. Yeah, I think there's a few wheels and cogs turning here in some of your heads. She is not quite being honest with us, I don't think. We need to have further truth. She also owns a $1.9 million mansion in Perth itself. And one of her neighbors said of her, "You don't know the half of this. I can't really say any more, but none of this surprises me." So there we go. You can follow her on Instagram at Virginia Roberts Rising 11 at Instagram. Why did this father of hers that she who seems to care about her a lot, and why did she not put him on a private jet if she got 12 million from Prince Andrew? You could surely afford to put him on you could put him on EasyJet, or Sleazy Jet, whatever. There we go. But the Daily Mail equally are being very cautious, which is very, very interesting because obviously she's rather litigious. Daily Mail Australia is not suggesting Ms. Giuffre made the incident up or exaggerated it. They are very clear in every article to end with that. So why are they ending with that? She has very, very good lawyers, I can tell you that. She must be clever. She's up to something, but I don't know what it is. And look, nobody should have ever been abused by Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, anybody else. And, there was the settlement she made with Alan Dershowitz, which he made clear he never did anything. She got a bit confused, is the way she sort of summed that one up. So there we go. What do you think? Some questions, please. Any questions? Right. The Lolita Express. Now, there's a real easy jet. Well, I think it would have been a jet you wouldn't want to be on, but Donald Trump used one of Epstein's old planes during his campaign, didn't he? Curious that. Janet Jackson, I don't know if you are. Well, I don't think she's still alive, but maybe she is, but I don't think she is. But there are many people who have the same names. We had a builder friend called Michael Jackson. So there we go. And a lady called Margaret Thatcher. So who obviously wasn't the other Margaret Thatcher. But anyway, Janet says she's a fake. Yes. Celia says, I think she's a grifter. Well, look, she came from a bad background and she ended up in that Mar-a-Lago and she ended up being abused by them. And then whatever happened after that. And then it became a monstrous situation. So I have to give her 50-50. And, she's not the worst person on the planet, that's for sure. She is not Lucy Letby. She doesn't go around murdering babies. She's not Rosemary West, is she? So give her a bit of a pass. Lucy Letby is far worse, and there we go. Is Virginia living like she received 12 million? Well, she's got two very expensive homes compared to most people. She's got £5 million of homes. So, and, running a 40-acre farm can't be cheap with two houses on it. So, there we are. Leslie says, if my daughter said I'm flying off to the Caribbean for a vacation when she was 17, I would have said no. You're not. Well, the father put her to work in the Mar-a-Lago, and he slightly blames himself for putting her to work there, which is where it all began. So, did Virginia recruit for Maxwell? Asked William. I believe that Virginia brought in other people. Yes. So, but that's for her to declare herself. But from what I know, she was involved in introducing other people, as were lots of people who worked for those people, because they just thought, well, it's a bit of easy money, and they were all young and naive. But as you get deeper and deeper into it, you become more and more involved. And Virginia traveled with them. Virginia went to London, we know of, just to Kinnerton Street from the photograph. We know Virginia was in Saint-Tropez on Flavio Briatore's yacht for Naomi Campbell's birthday party in the same outfit that she wore in Kinnerton Street. So I think I've said it before, of somebody I knew who had a kind of similar thing for a certain type of young lady, not that he was a paedophile. The butler of the house would keep outfits for these women in case they had to go out to a party together. And there'd be outfits. And Virginia was in the same outfit on 2 occasions. And I remember in this other house, one girl wore the outfit and then another girl wore it another evening. And I thought it was a bit strange, but that's how it works, I guess. They have, because these kind of ladies of a certain type who come to be entertainment or whatever, are told you will wear something that's suitable to go to the restaurant in. So that's why that's why Virginia is in the same clothes on Flavio Briatore's yacht as she was at Kinnerton Street. So there you are, because it was exactly the same time. And Bernie Eccleston was on that boat, and Ghislaine was on that boat, and Jeffrey Epstein was on that boat, and there was a big party with Naomi Campbell. Naomi Campbell, class act, isn't she? Another lovely person. I won't go into her tonight. We'll save her for another day. Did Donald Trump own Mar-a-Lago when Virginia worked there? Yes, he did. Yes, he most definitely did. That was the time around about the time he was probably still friendly with Jeffrey Epstein. And then they had a falling out over one of the properties adjoining Mar-a-Lago because Epstein tried to buy it and Trump wanted it, and there was a bit of a falling out. And that's probably where their little falling out came about. But Trump flew on Epstein's planes. He did not necessarily go to the islands, unlike a lot of other people. We know that Peter Mandelson went to the islands an awful lot. We know that Prince Andrew went to the islands. We know that Peter Mandelson partied with him in St. Bart's also and went shopping for a belt. Very strange. And then partied with him in Paris also. We know that Stephen Hawking went to a conference on the island. Bill Clinton, flew on the jet many, many times. I can't remember the exact number right now, but I believe it's over 25 at least. I can't remember the exact number. It'll come back to me. I should have this in my immediate notes, but I don't have it in front of me. Yeah, there we go. Loads of them. There's Peter Nygaard, who's also in prison, whose children have disowned him, and I've spoken with one of his children before. Similar situation, also involved with Prince Andrew and Fergie. Awful people. Loads of them. They all seem to like having a private island because if you've got an island, nobody can stop you doing anything, can they? Because once you're on the island, it's your rules. And, one of the victims who I spoke with, the South African one, she said, I tried to swim away, but there were sharks. There's no way out. You can't leave. They would not let you out. So they knew what they were doing. And then he had that ranch in New Mexico, and he had deals with the police. He had deals with the locals. He had deals with everybody. It's absolutely shocking how these people could get away with this, but they did. So there we go. Mr. Lee Kicker says Emily Maitlis was fantastic interviewing Andrew. I think she did a very good job. I think she deserves credit for that. Where it leads, God only knows. But he didn't really excel himself, did he, on that occasion? No. Right. Any more questions on that subject? There we are. Right. The poor girl was groomed. Yes, give her a break. I have not said that she should have been ever treated in that way. I have said very clearly that she is an abuse victim, but she also did things that I would say are of questionable moral compass of her own regard. And I do think that this whole latest story is a bit of a odyssey, to say the very least. It's quite odd indeed. Now, of the victims that I know of Ghislaine, I know one of them very, very well, and I knew her long before I even knew she was a victim of Ghislaine, and she dated someone far, far more famous than Ghislaine. So she was connected to someone very famous. And I like her, and I have no problem with her, and she doesn't want her name disclosed. You know, she has had to endure hell because of what went on in her life as a result of what Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine did to her. And I didn't even know any of it because she never told me of any of it until this all happened. But this Virginia has lived off the story, and now she's living off this story of this bus crash. I'm not completely convinced of Virginia's bus crash story. It doesn't make sense. And her strange brother's rambling rant makes zero sense. And why doesn't she pay for her father to be brought on a private jet if she's so bloody rich? Why doesn't she keep her family together? This is again like Meghan. If you don't keep your family close, it all ends in tears. I can tell you that. And Virginia, I think Virginia is potentially unraveling here, and it's not going to be a very good look for Virginia. And Virginia, if she has all this money that she supposedly has, well, why do you need more? What are you after? Ridiculous. I don't know. Lady Victoria Harvey continues to defend Andrew. Do I know why? Well, Lady Victoria Harvey did briefly date Prince Andrew in 1999, I believe. And Lady Victoria Harvey is trying to keep herself relevant. And, she and I don't really agree about very much. But I can be respectful to her. I've met her in restaurants. I've met her at a party in a casino recently. I think she talks a load of old rot, but there we go. But she's entitled to her view, and I'm entitled to mine. She probably thinks I talk a load of old rot. So there we are. Let's leave it at that. Lady Victoria, you're welcome to challenge me, but you're not here, so I can't talk with Lady Victoria. So there we are. Right. Is Lady Victoria being paid? I've no idea. Well, she's being paid by GB News when she goes on there, I'm sure. She probably gets a little fee to turn up. It's a bit of a... I may be wrong. She may be doing it out of the goodness of her heart. I don't know, but I would suspect that there are fees involved for media appearances, and Lady Victoria has to live like everybody else, doesn't she? So if she wants to get paid for a media appearance, that's her prerogative, isn't it? So the death of Tara. Yes, well, Tara was a very dear friend. Tara Palmer Tompkinson was a lovely, lovely lady, and I last saw her at Theo Fennell's showroom at a party with Barbara Minto and Liz Brewer and all sorts of people, and very intelligent, actually. She wasn't the twit girl like the other ones. She was a real decent diamond. She was, Theo named his daughter Emerald. She was a diamond, I'd say. She was a lovely, lovely, kind-hearted lady, and her life ended too soon. And what a great shame. No, I enjoyed the company of Tara. She was always intelligent, and she was always kind-hearted, and she always had a good word to say about people, other than, well, I'm not going to mention who, because then I sound just as bad as other people. So I think you can guess which one I'm talking about, but there we go. Yes, she loved playing the piano. She was very talented, and she was very well read. She was an intelligent, lovely lady, and her life was taken too soon. She had a few problems, but, she wasn't perfect, but are any of us. So, she was a delight. There you go. You liked her too. She was a delight. You liked her. You loved her. Yes. Yes, Lady Colin Campbell is defending Prince Andrew also and saying he should get his money back. Lady Colin Campbell's barking up the wrong tree. Prince Andrew is a filthy piece of toe rag and a dreadful stain on humanity, and he should be forgotten. He's not the grand old Duke of York, and he shouldn't go up to the top of the hill, and he should never, in fact, he should never come, he should go up to the top of the hill and shouldn't come back down again. And he should take that bloody awful Fergie with him. And then she's about to get $3,000 an episode to be on Loose Women. $3,000 an episode for her to listen to that mental case. She's a complete nutter. She's awful. She's a simpleton. She's absolutely revolting, and she's the grifter, the royal grifter. Absolutely shameful how she behaves. The toe sucker, please no more. Please put her out to pasture. That woman should have been forgotten decades ago. She is awful. And all the time it's more money, 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 money. And look at him with his Chinese friends and all of this spies, and he just brings shame on poor old King Charles. King Charles doesn't need this. King Charles is not a well man. He does not need this awful brother causing havoc. It's bad enough that moron son, and his mad wife, that pair of grifters in California, the Montecito meddlers, the Montecito money grabbers, are up to no good selling jam, which I saw today. The Daily Mail said it spreads a bit thin. Yes, it does. I'm sure. £12 a jar for a load of old Megan jam. I think people would be jammed up in the head to buy that nonsense. Why on earth would you want that? Would you want some Megan jam?
No.
No, Lady Men doesn't want Megan jam, and nor do I. I love my simple marmalade. I don't need Megan jam. No, I don't need any of that rubbish. You liked Fergie when she was in the Black Eyed Peas. Well, that was a different Fergie. SS Racing, you got the wrong Fergie, but there we go. Yes, I wonder if it will preserve their relationship. I don't know if I think it will, yes, because Harry the Drip has nowhere to go. He's stuck with her. She is Wallace Simpson. She's the modern day Wallace, as we all know. Do I like Marmite? Occasionally, but it's a bit gloopy. I don't know. I don't mind. I'm actually not one of those people who loves or loathes it. Actually, I'm kind of half and half. Sometimes yes. Sometimes I'd say no. I don't like that thing called Vegemite, the Australian version. No thanks. No, that's horrible. Leave that to Fergie, because she goes off to Australia all the time so she can do a bit of grifting. She loves Palm Beach, where she was pestering people the other day. And she loves Australia because all of those people, they just forgive her. I don't know why. She's just gross. And, she's suitable for loose women. Right. Sunflower says Wallace Simpson did the UK a great service by removing King Edward VIII from the throne. Well, actually, I wouldn't disagree with you because he was a bit of a sympathizer of Hitler. So, yeah, he might have let Hitler in. So good riddance. Yeah, I totally agree. That was actually a useful thing she did. But she wasn't a very nice woman, and her jewelry incidents were very curious, weren't they? Lots of good old insurance jobs went on with her. Miss Marple says she was at least dignified and kept quiet. Well, I wouldn't quite go that far, but you're entitled to your view. Right. Have I got my emergency 72 hours of food and water in? No, I have 1,000 Yorkshire tea bags. I'm sure I can find I've got things to light a fire, so I can boil a kettle if I have to, boil a pan of water. So I can make myself a cup of Yorkshire tea. And I've got mini cheddars. And I've also got some gin, so I'll survive, I suppose. I need more gin, obviously. More gin, the merrier. I need more gin. I suppose that's what I would need. I've got a bit of whiskey, so I suppose if I had to survive 72 hours, I could live on mini cheddars and Yorkshire tea and booze. Yes, you're always stocked up with a big bag of Yorkshire tea. Well, I've got one that my friend kindly sent me, 1,040 tea bags, and it has been kindly distributed to the gardener who wanted it for his mother. French gardener, he's now an addict. The Howard's Way couple who live on a boat because they love it, and they kindly gave me some when I arrived. Our housekeeper who said that they love it. They're French. They like Guinness also. They're very into rugby. He was a rugby player. But they like Yorkshire tea. And our Scottish neighbours who, well, they love a bit of Yorkshire tea as well. So there's always a bit of Yorkshire tea for good people. So Yorkshire tea, like tea used to be, as they said. There we go. You haven't had mini cheddars in years, Jane Hennessy. Shame on you. Absolutely appalling. You haven't had a mini cheddar. I've had 3 packs today. I'm a bit of an addict, I will admit. I've been on Radio 4 talking about mini cheddars. I've been on with Jay Rayner about mini cheddars at the Cadogan Hall. Mini cheddars come up everywhere in my life. I've got a very famous letter about mini cheddars. Maybe I could read it to you all one day. But I did complain about them once because they were stale. They sent me 100 packs to apologize, but I've got a great letter. Farage, a millionaire, he's done well from Brexit. It's not Farage, it's Farage, as in garage for a start. Anyway, there we go. Your dog's loving the mini cheddar. Don't waste the mini cheddars on your dog. But I suppose, if you love your dog, fair enough. I don't give the seagulls here mini cheddars. They're not having those because I haven't got enough. I've only got 2 packs left. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to run out soon. Jane fancies some mini cheddars. Celia loves Yorkshire tea. I should be a brand ambassador for both of these products, shouldn't I, really? The amount of times I banged on about them. I don't get paid. Lots of people get paid to talk about things. I just like them, and I don't want to be paid. And I love number 3 gin. That's my favorite gin of the planet. But I don't have favorites, but I love that gin more than any other. And I love Martin Miller's gin also, and I love the Gilpin's gin and the Fisher's gin. They're my 4 favorites. So so there you are. I've got 4 favorite gins, but for most occasions, I would love to have number 3 gin because that's just the most wonderful gin, and I think it's fabulous. There we go. Yes. Me as an brand ambassador, it would be hilarious. Well, I don't know. They did once send me quite a lot of stuff, the old Yorkshire tea people, the Tailors of Harrogate. Right. You don't know where to send me gin now. Well, if you'd like to send me an email, editorial@thesteepletimes.com, I can give you an address. You could send me some gin. I would not mind that. That'd be very kind. You don't have to, but I don't expect it. But if you wish to send me some gin, that would be very nice. Thank you. I don't mind receiving gin because I got lovely gins from all over the world when you sent me gins. I got gins from Australia and Northern Ireland. I got the Titanic gin. I got the Shetland gin. I got the this and that and the other gin. It was wonderful to try different ones out, some better than others, but it was very, very kind and thoughtful of you all to send. And all the notebooks and all the other things, the quiz books. But I don't need quiz books because I'm doing my own quizzes now, and I'm going to do my quiz now. I've just dropped my pen on the floor, which is very unhelpful, so I'll have to do it without the pen. Have I got somebody who can help me with a quiz here? Have we got someone who can help with a quiz? Because there we go. Right. Have we got a quiz helper? No. No, we haven't got a quiz helper, so I'll have to keep notes myself on this quiz. Right, so I'll have to find another piece of paper. Oh dear, no, this is where I should be more organized. Oh dear. Right. I don't want to write on certain things, so I have to be... Oh, there you go. Simon Coates will tally. I'm just going to reach down and get my pen so I can keep some notes as well. Right, Simon Coates. Thank you very much, Simon Coates. Right, we're going to do this quiz. I'm going to... Oh, here's a piece of paper I can keep some notes on as well. Right, okay, we're going to do a quiz. This is the one I did today. I have a whole load of them ready for you. Look, all of these. I keep writing more and more of them. And this is how many you've got through since I've been here in France. All of that. Whole file. Crazy, isn't it? Lots of quizzes. So, yes, there could be a quiz book soon. So then you'll be able to give it out for your Christmas gifts or whatever you wish to do. Or, I don't know, send it down to your local pub or whatever you do with it. Right, so we'll do a quiz. Are we going to do today's one I wrote, or should we do a different one? Right, I think we'll do the one I wrote today. Let's get that one out of the way. So, are we ready? Right. Okay. Right, your first question. At the request of Edward VII, so that coronation guests could buy their tiaras without having to cross the channel, which jewellers opened in London in 1902? Which jewellers opened in London in 1902 because of the coronation? It wasn't Garrard, no. Nicola Crompton gets the point. Nicola, well done. Nicola, I'll write you down, and I'm sure my esteemed colleague will write you down also. It was Cartier. Their success led to them moving to 175 New Bond Street in 1909, and they remain in the premises till this day. There you go. There's an interesting fact. You learn something new every day. Cartier have been in their premises since 1909. Isn't that amazing? Right. In which Belgian city did Nick Brill open his restaurant, The Jane, in the chapel of a former military hospital in 2014? Which, it wasn't Bruges, no. It wasn't Brussels. Nope. Nope. It wasn't Peckham. It wasn't Flambard, wherever that is. It wasn't Berlin. That's not in... Matt Grant gets the point. It is Antwerp. Matt Grant wins the point. All the tables look onto the open kitchen, and it's a top-notch food for a wide audience, is what the reviews say of it. What does the abbreviation, the W.H. Smith workers were forced to use, TPC, mean? What is a TPC? A TPC in W.H. Smith. What is a TPC? This is what they forced their stuff. It's not to be confirmed because it's TPC. Leslie fainted in W.H. Smith once. Well, I'm very sorry you fainted. That's awful. No, TPC. P for Peter. T for Tommy. P for Peter. C for Carol. No, it's not take price cut. No, you're it could have been, but it wasn't. No. Matt Grant gets the point. It's called a till point conversation. So a till point conversation would be, would you like a Terry's chocolate orange bar of dairy milk to go with your shopping today? So they were trying to upsell you to buy other bits of old junk that they were trying to flog at the till. So that's how W.H. Smith actually operated. I didn't know about this until I learned that W.H. Smith was kind of going into liquidation and problems. So there you go. I thought it was quite a fascinating thing to learn about. Okay. Which football team did Bukayo Saka play as a winger for as of 2025? Bukayo Saka. The immediate success is who's going into the lead with 3 points straight away is Arsenal. Of course, Matt Grant. You get the point. Well done, Matt Grant, yet again. You're very quick. You're fastest finger forward. You're very, very quick. So cheers to you. Okay. In which year was the music festival dubbed the most disastrous non-festival of all time, the Fire Festival held? Which year? No, it wasn't 2023. Woodsox gets the point with 2017. Woodsox, who complained that you were quicker last time, but you didn't appear, so you're not being counted for the previous one. But you can have 1 point for that. Yes, Billy McFarland. It was it was an absolute flop, and he went to prison, and he's holding another one. Between the 30th of May and the 2nd of June, Fire 2. So, okay, next question, which relates to the same topic. What is the price of the most expensive Prometheus ticket to Fire 2? What is the most expensive ticket price that Billy the fraudster McFarland is offering? It's not $5,000. No, it's not £1,000. It's not 50K. It's not 1,000. It's not 2 million. No, it's not 600 quid. It's not 375. It's not 250,000. It's not 10,000. It's not 50p. No, it's not that. Right. Matt Grant, you can have it. You didn't express the currency, but you got it correct. The most expensive ticket price is $1.1 million for 8 people. It includes a private yacht transfer to Playa del Carmen, a dedicated private owner, chauffeur, 4-bedroom yacht, or a 4-bedroom villa, or a private presidential hotel suite. There you go. Would you actually buy that, given the success of his last event? I certainly, if I had the money, I would not, but I don't have the money anyway. I'm not in the league, but, what a crazy man. As many people said, Billy, this better not be a scam. Yours is the stupidest festival ever. I quite agree. He is a proper old scammer, this Billy, because he was involved in a credit card scheme with people who I knew of from America. And it was called Magnuses, and that was another load of old rot. Awful rubbish. I saw straight through there. Okay, this is a more interesting question, in my view, because I have to ask, a mixture of questions, I've been told, because some of you think my questions are too complicated. What did the German spy Karl Muller use to write invisible letters in World War I? What did he use? What did he use to write the letters? It wasn't wax. It wasn't milk. Lois Petzold. You've got it. Lois Petzold. Petzold, sorry. Of course, it was lemon juice. The key evidence against him at his Old Bailey trial, he claimed it was used to clean his teeth. And then he was executed in the Tower of London. Anyway, that was old Karl Muller. He was a nasty little spy. Awful man. Well, he shouldn't have been doing naughty things to England, should he? As of 2025, which is the second largest city in Portugal? Which is the second largest city in Portugal? This should be an easy question. Well, I can accept Porto from Lois, yes, because it's Oporto, but it's Oporto, of course. World Heritage Site, Celtic Iberian settlement, and it's got a lovely harbour. Yeah. Okay. What is Alan Titchmarsh most associated with? Alan Titchmarsh. What would you associate Alan Titchmarsh with? Miss Marple, you can have the point. Yes. I would have accepted another answer, but it is gardening. You could have said television, or you could have said television gardening, I suppose. On which day in 1983 was Chapter 11 bankrupt as of March 2025? US fast food chain Hooters founded. On which day was Hooters founded? No, I need the exact day and the exact day of the month. It wasn't January the 1st. No. It wasn't Friday. No, I need the date and the month. Mother Duck gets it. It was April Fool's Day. Mother Duck, well done to you, Mother Duck. It was founded on the 1st of April, April Fool's Day, because the founders actually thought the company would fail. You know, Hooters, a very interesting company. Of course, Donald Trump was a very big supporter. Okay, and coming to Donald Trump, how did Donald Trump react in April 2025 when the golfer Tiger Woods informed him that he was dating his son, Donald Trump Jr.'s ex-wife, Vanessa? How did he respond when he was told? He didn't laugh, no. He didn't. He wished them well, yes. I will accept that. Lois gets another point, which takes you into second place, Lois. He wished them well. He said, I love Tiger and I love Vanessa. I said to Tiger, that's good. I'm very happy for you both. Just let them, both of them, be happy. So he was very magnanimous. Okay. In which year did Peter Gabriel record his own cover of the Book of Love for the romantic comedy film Shall We Dance? It wasn't 1987. It wasn't 1988. It wasn't 1984. It wasn't 1986. It wasn't 1989. It wasn't 1985. It wasn't. No. It wasn't 1982. No. Matt Grant gets another point, which takes Matt Grant firmly into the lead with 5 points. You're doing very well, Matt Grant. It was 2004. His cover has since been used in Scrubs and South Park. There you go. There's your interesting fact on that little question. Okay, what is change.org primarily used for? What is change.org used for? Lois gets another point, which takes you getting closer. You've got 4 points now. You're a very close second. It's used for petitions. And of course, my petition is doing very, very well for the sloths. So I would like you to support the petition for the sloths because we need to get to 500, because when we get to 500, they'll share it more widely. So I need another 90 or so people to sign. So please hurry up and sign, because my other petitions, some of them have been much quicker. So come on, support the sloth. Please share widely and, sign up, share, give some money. Thank you very much. It won't, you could give £5, you could give £2. It doesn't matter. Please give something. Just share it also. Put it on your Twitter, put it on your Facebook, your Instagram, your whatever, up the jumper, that's where we all go. Anyway, right. On which train does James Bond travel from Istanbul to Venice in the 1957 Ian Fleming novel From Russia with Love? And I need the proper name of the train, because the train, I can't just have Orient Express. Which Orient Express? Because there were many variants. I need the correct version of the Orient Express. There were many versions of the Orient Express. Because, there was the Belmont Express, which it wasn't, of course, which was my friend. Right, Lois can have the point. Well done to Lois. It was the Simplon Orient Express. I went from London to Venice on the Orient Express, and I had a wonderful, wonderful time. I loved going on the Orient Express, and I'd love to do it again, and one day I will. I had to go with somebody who had to take their dogs from London to Venice with my sister, and we had a wonderful, wonderful time going to a party in Venice. So it was a fabulous journey, and you couldn't beat it. So it's the most civilized way to travel. It's not like going on British Airways. You don't get given some cheap water bottle and nothing else. You travel in style. And what a wonderful way to travel. And my friend, James Sherwood, who's sadly no longer alive, and his wonderful wife, Dr. Shirley Sherwood, who is one of the world's leading botanists. And she's taught me a lot about plants. And she's a good friend of my mother. And, she's a fabulous lady. You couldn't beat her. She is one of the best botanists in the world. Absolutely amazing. They owned the Cipriani Hotel in Venice, and he died, and he owned Sea Containers, and anyway, that train, he restored that train with passion. He loved that train so much, and we enjoyed traveling on that train. I only did it once, but I would love to go on the new version. And there is a new version that's come out in Italy that's a cheaper version, I believe. Not much cheaper, but you can travel all across Italy on it to some kind of more wacky places. And it came out last week, and it was in The Guardian, and I will try and talk about it perhaps tomorrow, because I thought it sounded so wonderful, and I'd love to go on that. It was... Traveling by train is the most civilized thing to do. And Michael Portillo and his wonderful program, he educates so much about that. And I think we should go back to a more dignified way of traveling, because British Airways are appalling. Heathrow Airport, they can't even keep the power on. What's wrong with them? Are they thick? Couldn't they even get a backup generator? Absolutely useless. Even Luton said they had more than that. So there we go. Anyway, I won't bang on about it now, but we'll go on about trains another day. Right. Okay. In which town is the Kent village of Ham located near? The Kent village of Ham. Which town is it located near to? It's not Maidstone, no. It's not Ashford, it's not Tunbridge Wells, it's not Margate, it's not Islam, no. It's not Kentish. It's not Hampstead. It's not Brighton, because Brighton's not in Kent. Nor is Islam or Hampstead, as far as I'm aware. It's not Northbourne. It's not Deal. It's not Dover. It's not Canterbury. It's not Dover. It's no clue. It's not Orpington. No. Oh dear. Are we going to get a failure on this one? It's not Broadstairs. No. Matt Grant gets a point, which takes Matt Grant back into the lead because he was joined first. Of course, Ham is located next to Sandwich. So on the sign, it says Ham Sandwich, which is why everybody always steals the sign. There you go. That's a very collectible sign. Wouldn't you agree? That's a funny one. Ham Sandwich. So there you go. Ham Sandwich. It's a nice thing. It's not an offensive thing. It's just a funny thing that got put together. So there we go. Okay. In which radio soap opera is the fictional hotel Grey Gables to be found? Which radio soap opera is it to be found? Pipfield gets her first point. Pipfield. It is, of course, The Archers. Yes. I have to throw in an Archers question now and again. Okay. In which year did Marks and Spencer introduce a small range of chilled pre-made sandwiches in sealed wedge-shaped boxes to keep them fresh? What year did they introduce these sandwiches? It wasn't 1976. No. It wasn't 1981. It wasn't 1997. It wasn't 1987. Again, it wasn't 1988. It wasn't 2022. It wasn't 1988. No, it wasn't 1787. I don't think they existed then. It wasn't 1975. No, it wasn't. Chris gets the point. Well done, Chris. Another newbie. Chris gets the point. It was 1979. I don't have the current figures, but as of 2017, the British sandwich industry made and sold £8 billion worth of such packaged sandwiches every year. And that was 2017, so it must be a lot more by now. Okay, now we're going to come to one of my favorite pairs, the old Dockers, the Daimler Dockers, the good old Nora Docker, the woman who loved to play marbles. What is the name of the motor yacht originally built in 1938 for Sir Bernard and Lady Docker and owned from 2010 by Charles Dunstan? What is the name of it? It wasn't the Bluebird. No, that's not a yacht. That was a racing boat. It wasn't the Splendid. It wasn't the Titanic or the Agatha. It wasn't the Morning Cloud. That was Edward Heath. That was a yacht. It wasn't the Flying Fish. We're not in Howard's Way. And my friends today were on it recently for a party because their sons had worked on it. Anyway, Matt Grant gets a point that takes you into 7 points, Matt Grant. You are a champion of this quiz. 7 out of 20. You're doing very well, sir. Very well. It was the Shamara. And of course, Lady Docker used to entertain everybody on it, including coal miners. And she loved to play marbles, but she always had to win. And she played marbles at the Grosvenor House in Park Lane, and she always had to win. And tragically, Lady Docker died in poverty and ended up dead in a... she moved from Claridge's to Paddington to a hotel above the railway station and died in absolute poverty. It was quite a strange story. And of course, there were the Docker Daimlers, which she covered one of them in diamonds because she wanted to. She lined the seats of one of them with mink because she said, zebra hide, because she said mink was too hot to sit on. She got a bit carried away, and of course, Bernard Docker, who was her, I think, third husband. She'd had a wine merchant husband, one who owned Fortnum and Mason, and then him. Yeah, she had a castle in Wales. She got thrown out of Monaco because she burnt the flag in front, because Prince Rainier had offended her, because he wouldn't let her son into a party or something. She went on TV. It was one of the biggest TV interviews of the time because people didn't do this kind of thing. But no, Nora Docker was the daughter of a coal miner, and she was a tiller girl or a dancer or whatever you call it. And she certainly shook up the world, did old Nora. Anyway, and of course, one of the cars was in a great film. I'll have to use that as a future quiz question. There we are. It was in Withnail and I. And it was Uncle Monty's Rolls Royce. Dame. Well, I don't know if it was a Rolls Royce or it was a Daimler, because by the end she rejected Daimler, of course, because she was so angry. But she was a little bit of a spendaholic, let's say. So, your penultimate question also relates to the Shamara. What was my Shamara used for during World War II? What was, when it was requisitioned from the dockers, what was it used for? It wasn't a little boat. No, it wasn't it wasn't a fishing boat. It wasn't a hospital boat. No, it wasn't fishing boat. It wasn't spying boat. It wasn't supplies. It wasn't shoes. It wasn't transporting the wounded. It wasn't for swinging. It wasn't to do with Dunkirk or prisoners of war. No, my Shamara was not used for any of those things. Hello to the lovely Harriet. We love to have Harriet here, who's a great moderator of this channel. Thank you, Harriet. It wasn't used for spying. It wasn't for Anthea Turner, no. She didn't go on board because she wasn't probably born then. Well, she probably, I don't know when she was born. It wasn't used for drugs. It wasn't used for marble practice, but it should have been, shouldn't it, really? It wasn't a radio ship, nor minesweeping. No. I think none of you can get the answer to the question. You are the weakest link. So on this particular question, we go 0. So that's 1, which you didn't get. It was an anti-submarine warfare vessel. There we go. Okay, your final question. In which county is the open men's prison, Her Majesty's Kirkham prison, located? In which county is it located? It's not Dorset. Kirkham prison. Where is Kirkham? It's not in Berkshire. It's not in Essex. It's not in Brixton. It's not in Yorkshire. No, Kirkham. Jean Psychic. Well, you were very psychic. You got it. Jean gets a point. It's, of course, in Lancashire. It's near Blackpool and Preston and those kind of places where I grew up. It's a Category D prison, around 700 prisoners, and it's got 28 units. So there we go. Well, we have a clear winner, and we have a very successful second place. Well, most of you that actually got a point only got 1 point. So we have multiple 1 points. Jean Psychic got 1 point. Chris got 1 point. Pipfield got 1 point. Mother Duck got 1 point. Miss Marple got 1 point. Woodsocks got 1 point. Nicola Crompton got 1 point. So Lois Petzold comes second with 5 points, which is quite a success in this quiz because you have to be quick. Well done to you. But Matt Grant, you are extraordinarily quick. You got 7 points, so you're a very clear winner. Well done to Matt Grant, and well done to Lois, and well done to all the others. And well done to the rest of you for trying, but not being as quick as them. So thank you for that. We're coming up towards 10 o'clock, so I think we need a few more questions, and then we will end this show. So, yes, right. Harriet says no Googling should be permitted. Well, I agree, but I can't stop anybody using Google. It's very easy to do, isn't it? Right. Yes. So thank you to Simon Coates for helping. Very helpful of you, Simon. And Mr. Lee Kicker said his laptop is very slow tonight. Right. Well, there's quite a lot of you still here. So any more questions? Lois wouldn't Google because it's about personal dignity. Chris says good evening to Lady Min. Chris says good evening to you.
Hi, Chris.
She says hi, Chris. Right. Jane says goodbye. Oh, well, goodbye, Jane. Am I looking forward to Easter? I don't even know when Easter is. I've no idea. Not really. I'm not really religious, so I don't get involved in religious things. But I don't mind, I have perfect respect for religion. I just don't choose to be involved in it. Not my thing. I like
chocolate.
There we go. Have I ever been shocked by a restaurant bill? Oh, many times. Oh, yes, I've been to some very shocking restaurant bills. I've seen those over the years. Lots. The most expensive restaurant bill I think I've ever seen, I was a guest of, I'm not going to say who because they wouldn't want me to. But the bill alone for the wine was about, for a dinner for 2 people, the bill was nearly £50,000. So there you go. That's probably the most shocking restaurant bill I've ever been involved in. And that was when I was very, very young. And I was invited to a very nice restaurant. And the person who invited me, friend of the family, a very decent gentleman, and he's a very civilized person. He just likes to drink very good wine, and he can afford it. So there we go. I know that's a bit vulgar, but I go often, and I have, I think I got a nice quote today. I'm going to see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find this, because equally I feel the same about affordable. I've had the £50,000 wine, and I've had, with certain other people who I know, I regularly drank wine that was £5,000 a bottle. It's very nice, but there's very good wine, and then there's mediocre wine, and then there's cheap wine. I've had it all. I've done a lot. I drink plenty of wine that costs £4 a bottle down here, and I really like it. No problem with it. Let me see if I can find you this quote. It was on my Twitter today because I found it, and somebody shared this thing with me, and now I probably can't find it. It'd be really annoying if I can't. But if I can, I will. So let me look. No. Oh, here we go. So this is from someone from America. And I thought this was a very nice thing that this person said, so I decided to share it. As you get older, you'll realize that a $200 dinner and the $10 meal satisfy the same hunger. The designer sunglasses block the same sun as the gas station pair. A private jet and a middle seat both land at the same airport. Well, that's not actually true. But anyway, I'll give them a pass on that one because that's not actually true. A Tesla and a Toyota sit in the same traffic. Well, I can't disagree with that. True peace is not found in luxury or labels. I totally agree with that. You know, here I am in my Bernard Weatherald. It's not exactly a designer label, is it? But I love it. I'm very happy with my lovely bargain clothing that I love. True peace stay kind and grateful. I think that's a nice thing to say. And I think we all need to think about that a little bit more in the last few hours and few days, because I think there's too much nonsense in the world. And finally, the sunset looks the same no matter how much you paid to see it. And I think this person called SMB Attorney, I have no idea who he is. I don't know how he came up on my thing on Twitter. Well done him. I agree with him. Wouldn't you agree?
Yep.
He speaks a lot of sense. You know, you can have a wonderful meal for $10 as much as you can have a wonderful meal for 25,000. It's about the company. It's all about the experience. Everything is better in the world if you're in good company. And respect and decency and kindness is a very important thing that is very lacking in the world right now. We must all learn to be a bit more kind and tolerant to other people, because there's too much anger, and I don't like all this anger. And that is the only problem of this Donald Trump. He is encouraging a little bit too much. Let's everybody have a row. But look, he is a strategist and he knows what he's doing, and he's playing a game, and I respect the man for that, actually. I do respect him. But we need a bit more dignity and kindness in the world. We need a bit less of this Angela Rayner for a start. She must be shut up. She's awful. That woman must go. She is awful. The raving Rayner, she is completely cuckoo. You know, she's just revolting. Dining at the Ritz whilst telling everyone else to have a bit of austerity. She is appalling, awful woman. Don't like her. Yes, Gene the Psychic says, you're Gene Psychic, sorry, you're not Gene the Psychic, sorry. She is awful. What do I think about the Labour MP who's been arrested on certain charges? Well, a definite wrong gun, isn't he? Another fine example of a politician. What is wrong with these politicians? Why do they all have to be a bit whips and chains and a bit, naughty but weird? They're very odd, aren't they? Strange people. Shouldn't they be representing their constituents rather than being up to no good? But anyway, I don't know. I don't know that particular one. I've never met him, so I can't possibly comment yet. Right. Trevor's going to be in the Fire VIP lounge with I suppose Angela Rayner. Yes. Okay. Well, Angela Rayner probably will be there. Yeah, she'd probably blag a ticket if she could. She loved a bit of Taylor Swift, didn't she, for free? She loves a bit of anything for free, does old Ange, and her dirty son, the one who makes odd videos as well. Another odd little child. Strange people. The cheeky girls. Yes, there was that Lembit Opik, of course. My friend used to be Lembit Opik's parliamentary researcher, and he runs a charity now in Los Angeles, and he's a wonderful person. And Lady Min loves him, a wonderful man from Wales who helps save animals. So he escaped Lembetopic and went to California, where he's got a lovely girlfriend, and he's very happy. So he had a lucky escape, because the cheeky girls, God knows what became of them. You never hear of them anymore, do you? Perhaps they're with Lady Victoria Harvey or something, up to whatever, or that woman, Mel B, or whatever she's called, that was Lady Victoria's friend. There we go. Tom Jones. I don't know how Tom Jones comes into the conversation, but I don't know. I've no idea. Can't answer your question, Matt Grant, on Tom Jones, because I don't know what the question is. I don't understand. Mr. Mann says they were vile. Do you mean the cheeky girls, or do you mean somebody else? I don't know. Right. Mr. Lee Kicker says, I have a whip, but that's only because you're an Indiana Jones fan. Oh, well, there we are. Each to their own. Right. Have I ever been to Fire in Vauxhall? No, I can't say I've ever been to Fire in Vauxhall. No, I don't know what Fire in Vauxhall is. Have I ever had a Big Mac? Yes, I have had McDonald's burgers. I don't like them. I think they taste like plastic. I like the filet of fish, as I call it. I'm sure it's called the fillet of fish. But the filet of fish is the only thing that I can really eat from McDonald's, because I don't like the burger, because it tastes like plastic. Because I met that man who died, the Super Size Me guy, I forget his name, in San Francisco. And, the things that those burgers do to you, ugh, they're evil. And then there was that man who made the video of leaving the McDonald's burger outside for 6 months to see what happened. And he left it. And after 6 months, it still hadn't rotted, because it's just disgusting what's in it. So, no, I can't ever dream of eating. I come from, a rural background, and I love fresh food, and I could not eat that crap. But the filet of fish, for some reason, I quite like it. I will admit, once a year or twice a year, I've had a filet. I hadn't had one until my birthday, because a certain person sitting next to me on the motorway on our way driving here said, we have to stop, and we had the option of a sandwich or filet of fish, in my case. And, I quite enjoyed my filet of fish, I will admit. So, God knows what's in it. It's probably another load of poison, but I could not eat those burgers. They are horrible. Ugh. I've seen what they do to you. Morgan Spurlock was the name of the man, and he made the Super Size Me film. And he lived on McDonald's, I think, for 6 months solid or something for the film. Or was it 6 weeks? I don't know, whatever it was. And it made him extremely ill. And, it's no wonder he died about aged 50, because he really poisoned himself. Stupid thing to do. There's creativity in the world, and then the stupidity. And he literally went and had supersized McDonald's every day for I don't know how many months. And then he got very ill. So later, but he got fat. He got fat, and he was very, 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 very ill. But why would you do that in the name of art? Okay, he made a lot of money out of his films, and then he made other films that were equally successful, but eventually he just died. So I think I blame the McDonald's. And the whole McDonald's story is a fascinating one, because of course, the two McDonald brothers were, of course, conned out of the McDonald's by the man Croc, Mr. Croc. Can you imagine being called Croc the Crook? He conned them out of the business. And yeah, McDonald's wasn't really McDonald's. Their original vision for the company was not what Mr. Croc had in mind. Roy Croc, I think his name was. I loved the film about them. The McDonald's film was a fabulous film to watch. So if you haven't seen it, I don't remember its name, but watch that. That's a good one to watch. Last night I couldn't sleep because I wasn't in a very good place. I was a bit depressed, and I felt I just couldn't sleep. I watched a wonderful film, again, I forget the name, by Julian Fellows, about a house with a ghost, and it was a wonderful film. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. I don't know what it's called, but look it up. It's got Julian Fellows. It's got all sorts of wonderful people in it. Look it up. It's about a ghost. I can't remember what it's called. Maggie Smith is in it, and all sorts of people. So yeah, no, I enjoyed watching that last night when I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep at all last night. So tonight I'm going to sleep very well. It's only 10 o'clock here, so it's only 9 o'clock in England with you. Jean Psychic is on antidepressants. Well, I'm very sorry, Jean. Hope you feel better soon, Jean. We want to wish you a happy recovery, don't we, Lady Men?
What?
Jean, we want to wish Jean a recovery.
Yeah.
Yes, she'd like to wish you a happy recovery. Nobody can beat a homemade burger, says Mr. Lee Kicker. Oh, I love making a burger. Oh, burger's fabulous. I love a burger. Have I eaten at a Nando's? I have eaten at a Nando's. I don't really like, it's not my kind of thing. Again, it's the same thing. I like simple, honest food, and chain food is not for me. I used to love Pizza Express, I will admit. Nothing wrong with a Pizza Express. But most of them that I used to go to have closed down, so it's a great shame. My mother's friend, my friend, in fact, as well. She was the sister of the founder of Pizza Express, and she had a chain in the north of England called Pizza Margherita, and that was where I used to go every day when I was at school, because I didn't like the food at school, so I used to go out of the school. I wasn't exactly a conventional school child. I was allowed to go out for lunch, and I would go to Pizza Margherita, and I was allowed to take 5 friends every day. So they all wanted to go, of course. So I had to vary who was allowed to attend. We used to have a lovely time at Pizza Margherita, courtesy of the lovely Wendy Allen, who was the sister of Peter, the founder of Pizza Express, who made a fortune and died penniless. It was a completely unbelievable story. He spent all his money on a football club, city man, but he was a very nice man. And Wendy is a lovely lady, and she was actually a psychic on the Liverpool Echo before she became the owner of Pizza Margherita, after her brother inspired her to set up a pizza chain. So she had pizza places in Lancashire and Yorkshire. There we go. You learn something new every day. Here we are. Marie says, good evening from Liverpool. Yes, well, good evening to you in Liverpool. I've been corresponding with my friend Lady Bianne Vanita Buck, who is in Liverpool, of course, and obviously you've had the wonderful Grand National. What a wonderful success for Willie Mullins, and wow. 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7. What a great result. And his son winning the first place. What a great trainer. No, that was a great example of that sport being successful. I don't find the Grand National very interesting personally because it's not a race that I can predict. And I study horse racing very much. I love it. And the Grand National is just anything goes. So, the horse that won was 33-1. Well, I would never have predicted that horse, but it's lovely to watch. It's great that it brings in the public. It's great that people are enthusiastic. It's great that they have a day out. I prefer the Cheltenham Gold Cup because the Cheltenham Gold Cup is more of a racing person's race. It's the horse racing punter's race because it's the English versus the Irish, and it's a proper old fight. The Grand National is just, well, who can bash the fence down and who can survive being bashed over the fence. But it's fabulous. In one year in the 1850s, only one horse finished in the fog. There's many amazing stories about the Grand National, and I went there in 1997. I remember, the IRA tried to blow it up, and awful. And then we've had protesters, those stupid just stop whatever people, wherever they stop anyone having fun people. Oh yeah, there's always them around. The idiots that throw oil over everything. Right. Harriet likes the Cheltenham fashion. Well, yes, there's plenty of fashion at the Cheltenham Festival. Yes, there's all sorts going on there. Do we have a cleaner and housekeeper in France? We do have someone who comes and helps, and they're absolutely amazing. And if anyone in the locality needs them, they're very, very nice. And we can recommend them to you highly, and I'm sure they will appreciate the business. So, yes, if you're looking for a housekeeper or cleaner or whatever you want to call it, yes, we can pass that on. Thank you to Harriet, who's saying, please hit the like button and the subscribe button. Thank you. That's very kind, Harriet. Harriet, you are fabulous. You're always helping. Right. I don't remember the 1994 Grand National. No, I don't remember that. Just Stop Oil. They don't like horsepower. Yes. William Evans says, I saw Richard Branson at the Kentucky Derby. Well, how very unfortunate for you. I can't stand that cretin. Awful man. He's dreadful. He's one of the worst people I've ever encountered. The job killer, the space killer, all the rest of it. Oh, there's nothing positive. The man who can't run a train on time. The man who, he's just awful. Ghastly. I won't go into my personal relations with Richard Branson and my own family problems with him, but for goodness sakes, no. Poor you. You wouldn't want him near you at a horse race. He's a bore. Awful man. Gene Psychic doesn't like Richard Branson. I'm with you. Do I play snooker? No. I wish I could. I love darts. And I love a game of darts. I'm very, very common in that regard. Okay. I know people think darts are common, but I don't care. I love darts. Jim Bowen, absolutely fabulous neighbor of ours in Lancashire. Wonderful, wonderful man. Bit of bully. I think this Luke Littler is absolutely spectacular. What an amazing young man, 17 to be so successful. £80,000 in a prize straight away. Wow. Just for a bit of, I love playing darts. And when I was spending time with a certain somebody who I won't name, the security guards like to watch in the house like to watch very strange programs. I'm not going to say what kind of things because, quite frankly, they were awful. Not pornographic or anything, or not dangerous, but a bit right wing for my liking. So I went and bought a dartboard. So I got them playing darts instead, and I thought, at least entertainment should be civilized, and darts is the most civilized game that you can play as a group. And I would play the bullseye along, and so they'd have to answer the questions as well. And most of the questions they were incapable of answering, most of them. But and people used to come round, and we would play darts, and we'd do the questions. And it's a bit like doing this quiz. Be sociable, enjoy yourself. It's not a bad thing. Bess likes playing darts. Well, I agree with you, Bess. I missed my dartboard. It's at my friend's house. I know where it is. It's in a garage somewhere, and I haven't got it at the moment. So there we are. Darts is very different these days. They're not all huge and drunk. Okay, well, look, Bullseye was a bit of fun. Okay, once there was a serial killer on Bullseye, but that wasn't the fault of Jim Bowen, was it? It just happened that this man was a serial killer and he was a contestant. They're not all bad people. Some of them did look a bit weird and a bit freaky, but that wasn't the fault of Jim Bowen. And Jim Bowen was a lovely, lovely man. He was a school head teacher, Caton Primary School, Lancashire, before he was Bullseye. So there you go. He had an interesting life. He lived in an orphanage. He came from a place which Lady Min will know all about, Heswall. He was from Heswall on the Wirral. That's where he was from originally, and he was adopted, and he was orphaned, and and he changed his name a number of times because he grew up in very strange circumstances because of what happened to him. But what a wonderful man Jim Bowen was, and okay, at the end of his life, people were very nasty about him and said he was bigoted and horrible. He wasn't bigoted and horrible. He was a fabulous person. I think Jim Bowen was simply the best. They can't recreate Bullseye with anyone else because it's not going to be the same. But buy yourself a dartboard. Okay, my advice to you all, buy a dartboard. You can buy one in Argos. I paid about £25. It came in a wooden box. It was fabulous. Absolutely wonderful. I couldn't believe how wonderful it was. And put it on your wall and invite your friends around and play along. Put on the YouTube Bullseye. Play along, do the questions and see who wins. It's a great night out. I know you all think that I go off to fancy dinners and all the rest of it, which I do from time to time, but I love doing that. That's the kind of thing I actually enjoy doing. I like simplicity. And everybody used to come round. You won't believe the people I played an evening of Bullseye with. So there you go. I'll save that for another night. Zara says Jim Bowen was ace. He was. He was a lovely man. Simon Coates says you saw him in Blackpool. He was terrible. Well, I don't agree with you. I think he was a lovely man. So there we go. Right. Well, okay. If you didn't like him, you didn't like him. I can't expect everyone to like him, can I? Right. Mr. Lee Kicker says he was a wretched human being. Oh, well, he certainly wasn't Jimmy Savile. He didn't do anything bad to anybody. He wasn't a nasty man. Look, if you don't like him, you don't like him. But I actually found him a delightful man. So there we go. I'm entitled to my view as much as you are yours. So that we don't have to agree on everything, do we, everybody? Look, if we all like the same thing, the world would be a bit boring, wouldn't it? So you're entitled to dislike him. And yes, he did make some very stupid remarks there at various points, but he was certainly not as bad as Jim Davidson. He did not go around to the Verne prison on the Isle of Wight visiting Gary Glitter, did he? So Gary Glitter and Jim, I think they're a bit worse. I think if there's anybody, there was one time I was at the Carlton Club, St. James's, and my mother and I were there, and Jim Davidson appeared, and my mother said, "We are leaving right now." And my mother, I said, "Mother, don't be so silly. We don't have to leave because he's in the same room." She said, "We are leaving." She said, "That man is offensive." And my mother was right. Sorry, someone who goes to visit Gary Glitter in prison, you don't want to be in the same room as that kind of person, piece of filth. He is a revolting man, Eureka Johnson is a 4x4, 4 kids by 4 dads. He's had six or 7 wives. He's had multiple children by all of these people. He's got no moral compass. He's got no respect for anybody. He beats people up. He's got a horrible, horrible temperament, that little rat. And he is a friend of Gary Glitter. You couldn't get much worse than that, could you? Jean says, "I've never taken to Jim Davidson." I totally agree with you. What do you think of Jim Davidson?
Don't know him.
She doesn't know him. Lady Min doesn't know Jim Davidson. He's just a nasty, nasty man. Right. Right. Okay, any more questions? Any more questions? Because otherwise we shall have to go quite soon because it's nearly 10:30. We've gone on for another half an hour, so I think it's probably time to end this matter, unless you really want to keep going. I could talk for hours and hours because I do have a tendency to go on. I'm a bit like Giles Brandreth. I never know when to shut up. He said that on Saturday Live on the weekend. He said, "But you have to be able to listen," and I'm listening to you. I'm listening to your questions. So we do have to listen to other people. It's very, very important as much as we talk. So that's why I like having your questions, and it's great to have all your questions. So have I met Roland Rat? No, I never met Roland Rat. No, can't say I did. No, not possible. Right. Yes, the film is called From Time to Time. It's a lovely, lovely film. It's such an innocent, weird film. It's a bit weird, but yes, I enjoyed it. It sent me to. I was trying to go to sleep, and I wasn't in a very good place. I was a bit depressed, so I didn't sleep actually for a single hour last night. I've not actually slept in 24 hours, which is a bit ridiculous, but there we go. Yes, you love Giles Brandreth. He's a real English gentleman. Giles is one of the best. Absolutely superb. I love his books. I love the fact he used to come to Broadstairs and do all the things with the Dickens and all the other stuff he did there. He's a great friend of the Hamiltons, and they are wonderful people. Absolutely lovely people for what they've done. Fabulous people. So, yeah, the Goggle Box, which they wanted me to go on the Goggle Box, but I never found a suitable person to do Goggle Box with, which is a great shame because it was very highly paid. Let's be honest. I would have been very nice to have been on the Goggle Box, but no, there was nobody who could do it with me because the commitment is huge. It wasn't the money, it was the commitment. because you have to be very committed to doing that program unless you're a famous person. A famous person can dip in and dip out, but an ordinary person like me would have been, they expect you to commit in a very big way. I'm still in touch with them. I love doing the Talk TV. I think the Talk TV is great, so I hope to do more of that soon. And the wonderful Peter Blexley, he's one of the best. Absolutely anti the woke. He doesn't tolerate any of the nonsense. He criticizes the Metropolitan Police. They're bloody useless. And he's an ex-Metropolitan Police officer. He speaks out. He tells the truth. Peter Blexley is the voice of reason. I love a voice of reason. Absolutely fabulous man. Susie Dent always cringes when he's on Countdown. For Giles? No, she and Giles are great friends. I think so. He's got a teddy bear collection. Yes, he does jumpers. His jumper collection is hugely successful. He makes these jumpers. Oh, he's big in fashion. Lois says I'd be great on the Gogglebox. Well, they wanted me, but they wanted someone with me, and they tried out various people, but none of them were suitable because they couldn't commit. So it's very, very hard. You have to do 6 hours every week for 6 months. So some of my friends travel a lot, and well, they were unsuitable. The one they really wanted, he had a famous daughter, so the daughter vetoed it. And the wife said, well, it would be embarrassing to our daughter, so because he might get a bit carried away. And he would have probably been the best one. And then the other ones, well, it just didn't work out, let's be honest. So never mind. Me and Fergie on the Gogglebox. Well, I'm not friends with Fergie, so that would never happen, would it? But that's a strange idea, but there you are. Right. Would I have gone on the Generation game? I don't really apply to go on quiz shows, but no, the Gogglebox people approached me. They asked me to go on it. The Talk TV asked me to go on it. The Crime Conference asked me. I never approached anybody about going on anything. They asked me. I'm not the kind of person that goes around asking to be on something. But it would have been fun to have done this Gogglebox, but I had to do it 4 or 5 times, and they ask you the same. They put the same video on with each person, because obviously they judge everybody they're going to have on the program. So I had to do the same thing 4 or 5 times. So I knew what was coming, and of course the people I was with, well, I'd probably kind of told them, but it's a curious format. I don't know, no idea. We'll see what happens. No, I don't think I'll be going on the Gogglebox ever, but they have many, many other programs, and they said they would like me to be on one of them, so we'll see what happens. Right, any more questions, please? Thank you. Miss Marple finds it a bit contrived. Well, would I do first dates on Channel 4? I don't know what first dates on Channel 4 is, but it's obviously about dating, but I don't know what it's about. I've never watched it. I don't watch television. I listen to Radio 4. Really, my life is Radio 4. I listen to music of all kinds. I like classical music. I like modern music. I love Coldplay. I love the Killers. Snow Patrol, things like that. I love Barrington Furlong, who wrote the music for Inspector Morse. I love
The Archers.
the Archers is Radio 4. Yep, I listen to podcasts about serial killers. I listen to all sorts. I'm going to listen to one about Sherlock Holmes, I think, this evening. I've got that lined up. To send me to sleep, I have to have some kind of noise, and then I've gradually fall asleep to it. And last night I watched that film, and it was fabulous. I very much enjoyed this film. I don't know where I found it, but it was wonderful. It was such an innocent, nice film, and it was charming to watch. So that was pleasant. And sometimes I watch a murder mystery or a true crime program, because obviously true crime is my genre. So I do watch those. Used to like the Krypton Factor. I remember it, but I don't remember it well. I don't remember really what went on the Krypton Factor, other than it was some kind of contest, but I don't remember much about it. But right. Leslie S. says, I haven't had a television since 2001. I cut the cable off after the Twin Towers came down. Oh, well, you're very extreme in that regard. You've never watched television since the Twin Towers came down? Well, I'm sure you have your reasons, but I don't think you can blame the television for the Twin Towers coming down, but I don't know. Maybe you have your reasons. I don't know. Wouldn't you agree? She hasn't watched television since the Twin Towers came down. Please explain why you don't have a television since the Twin Towers came down. That's quite curious. You can't blame the Twin Towers on television. Or did you just not want to watch anything bad happen again? I'm sorry. Maybe I'm asking an intrusive question here. I don't know. Leslie loves a good Judge Judy episode. Leslie says they played the Towers coming down 24/7 for a week. I'd had enough. Oh, well, fair enough. If you don't want to watch anymore, don't watch. I don't blame you. You can't be forced to watch anything. There are plenty of things that I like. The Saturday Live on the BBC, I'm getting very disappointed with, because since they got rid of the Reverend Richard Coles, the whole program has become a little more disappointing, because they don't have discussion with the audience. So there we go. Right. Right. Well, Harriet, I'll talk to you directly, Harriet, on email. But yeah. Mr. Lee Kicker hasn't had a TV license for 16 years. Well, I don't blame you. Why bother? How are they going to find you? It's a complete load of farce, that TV license. Where I used to live, where I lived in the horrible house with the horrible woman, Mrs. Moron. Don't know what's happened to her. She hasn't sued me yet. I'm still waiting on you, Mrs. Moron, but you're probably not going to do anything, hopefully. For some reason, she paid the TV license. I don't understand it when I rented the house, so I didn't have to pay for it. So I didn't pay for a TV license either, but that wasn't because I didn't want to pay. It was included in the rent. The weird thing, the internet was included in the rent. The TV license was. Shame she didn't pay the gas bill. Sorry, there wasn't a gas bill. The electric bill. That would have been much more useful, frankly. But never mind. So no, I didn't have to pay the TV license. So I don't even know what a TV license costs, to be honest. Because at the moment I don't have a house, so I've no idea what a TV license costs. But Nadine Dorries would be rather angry with me. Nadine Dorries, who loves Lucy Letby. She said of David Cameron and George Osborne, "You two posh boys who don't know the price of a pint of milk." Well, if she said to me, "What is the price of a TV license?" Nadine, I'm sorry I couldn't answer your question, love. So, nasty Nadine, no thank you. Right. Oh, it looks like we've just been given £5, $5. Ah, there we go. Thank you. Ha ha ha. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Monetized program. Here we are. And there's still 156 of you here, and there's still more questions. Do you need a license to watch TV? Of course you need a license. You have to, even if you use your computer to watch the TV in the UK, you have to pay for a TV license because you are watching, even if you're not even watching the BBC, you have to pay for the BBC. Even if you just watch Sky News on YouTube, you have to pay for the BBC. But how are they going to prove it? It's about time they scrapped the TV license, commercialize the BBC, throw in the advertising. Who cares? It's so ridiculous, this scam. A TV license, Miss Marple tells me, is £174 a year. So if you want to use your computer to watch anything like ITV or Sky News on the internet, you are meant to pay £174. There you go. Is that correct? I think not. Why don't we just privatize the BBC? Margaret Thatcher, there's one of the mistakes she made. She should have just done it. She did everything else. She was fabulous, and she got everything else done. So what a shame she didn't do that. Wouldn't you agree? Why should we pay for a TV license?
We shouldn't.
No, we don't care. We don't mind a bit of advertising. If we have to put up with, an advert for a chocolate biscuit or
We send you threatening letters.
Yeah, well, they can't prove it anyway. They're rubbish. But seriously, where I used to live, it was paid for as part of my rent, so I didn't have to pay it, so it didn't bother me. But I understand lots of other people get very threatening letters because I never got a threatening letter because mine was paid for. It was part of the rent. No, let's get rid of the TV license. Chuck it down the well. It should be on the Lucy. It should be on the old what's it called? The Bibby Stockholm. Let's put the TV license on the Bibby Stockholm. Let's send it off on there. There's lots of things. It's not Room 101 anymore. It's the Bibby Stockholm. Let's think of other things we can put on the Bibby Stockholm other than people. And the first thing we're going to put on the Bibby Stockholm is the TV license. Yes? The TV license should be consigned to history. But of course, under Angela Raver and Rachel, Queen of Thieves, who loves harming the farmers, we're not going to go anywhere there, are we? Because they're protectionists, so they're not our kind of people. Right, I have super stickers. I don't know what a super sticker is, so there we are. Anyway, it's very kind of you to make a super sticker. Right. Well, there we are. Right. Okay. Any more questions? Because I'm not quite sure about all this conversation in front of me because it's all not quite logical in any order. Okay. A friend of mine got sent a list of every time he'd been on BBC iPlayer with a demand for a TV license. Okay, well, probably. Anyone else fed up with the Purdy and Fig adverts on YouTube? I don't know what Purdy and Fig adverts on YouTube are. I don't know what Purdy and Fig is. What do I think about Ozempic? I know people who take it, and I don't think it's a very good idea. I think it's a totally disastrous thing to do. Absolutely appalling. You'd like GB News to be put on the Bibby Stockholm. Well, there are elements of GB News that I don't know. I don't watch it, but I don't think it's that threatening. I think it's kind of a bit irrelevant. I'm not that excited by it. It doesn't harm me. I don't think it's the worst thing. There are worse things to put on the Bibby Stockholm, I can tell you that. If we want to think of worse media organizations, there are far worse media organizations than them, but I don't care for them, but I don't want to go on it. It's not my kind of thing. Right. I bought Purdy and Fig. It doesn't smell for more than 2 minutes. I don't know what it is. What is it, a candle or something? They get you into a subscription. Oh, it sounds a bit like Omaze. The Omaze. Now, I'd like to make a program about Omaze, and I'm trying to work on that. My notebook is literally full to the brim with Omaze. Omaze is not amazing, and that's what I would like to do. Have I got a have you seen the morning routine trend? I don't know what the morning routine trend is. Please enlighten me. My morning routine is to water the garden and have a cup of Yorkshire tea with 2 tea bags in it, and then I think about what I do next. Right. Do I eat chocolate? Yes, I love Toblerone. I love Cadbury's Dairy Milk, but they don't have that here. I love cheap, nasty chocolate. I do love very nice chocolate too, and I've got some great friends who make lovely chocolates. William Curley and all these kind of people. But I like the cheap chocolates, like I like my mini cheddars. I will admit that that's my McDonald's, isn't it? So I've got the guilty pleasure too. That's terrible of me to admit, isn't it? Absolutely awful. I eat rubbish chocolate, Toblerone, and things like that. I did have a bit of Toblerone earlier, and it's a good bit of a pickup. It's just a nice little, gets you going. Wonderful. You like Maltesers? I don't mind a Malteser. I haven't had one of those in years. Right, but no, I like gin really. That's my favorite thing. Am I downhill skier? I can go skiing, but I'm not very good at it. No, useless. Absolutely useless. I'm good at the après ski. That's where I belong. In Zermatt. I love Zermatt. Zermatt is the best place I've ever been of all the skiing. I've been to all these fancy places, San Moritz and all that, but I like Zermatt because I like the Elsie bar. The food there is the best. I love the food, so it's a nice place to go. You like Cadbury's caramel eggs? I don't know. No, don't agree. But Lois, each to their own. If we all like the same thing. Keely loves lint. No, I don't know. Miss Marple says she used to know Elsie Bar. Well, it's a bar. I don't believe it's a person. It's called Elsie Bar, Elsie's Bar. But did you know Elsie? Oh, if you knew Elsie, then how fabulous. Leslie doesn't like skiing in California. It's a bit disappointing. The Alp runs are so much longer. You loved skiing in Switzerland. There we are. Leslie, you do get around, don't you? You're a bit of a jet setter, Leslie. Right. Harriet liked Aspen until it went parvenu. My sister likes Aspen because my sister is into snowboarding and she likes she loves going everywhere, my sister, for her snowboarding. She likes snowboarding. She's she's very dedicated to her snowboarding. So that's her sport. I couldn't think of anything more boring, but that's what she wants to do. But cheers to her. Everyone has to do what they like. Right, so Toblerone, yum. I love Toblerone. Sadly, I only get to eat small Toblerones mostly, but I do love a Toblerone. Lady Min doesn't mind a bit of Toblerone.
I like Mars bars in the winter.
She likes Mars bars in the winter, she claims. See, she's getting better. You can tell because she wants a Mars bar in the winter. So we're going to have to go and buy some Mars bars tomorrow. Right. Okay. That's on the list of things to do. Okay. Right. So as well as gardening, I've got to go and find Mars bars. I don't know where we'll find Mars. Well, I suppose in the big supermarket here, they'll have Mars
It
bars.
would be very good here.
Right. Leslie gets the big Toblerones. Oh, well, they're very nice, but as we go, do I like Heinz soup? No, I'm not a Heinz soup devotee. No, I like Baxter's soup, of course, because I knew the Baxters. So, as we know, Ina Baxter, she was born to make soup. This was her advert. And Ina Baxter made the wonderful range of soups, the Royal Highland Game, the Lobster Bisque, and everything else that she made. And she had royal warrants, and she made an amazing business, did Ina Baxter. We loved Ina Baxter. So, no, if any soup, it had to be Baxter's. And Jules B loves Baxter's, yes. Oh, you can't beat their parsnip soup. I love parsnip soup. That's my favorite. That's my very, very, very favorite. Spicy parsnip. Yep. Keely says yum. Yep. You cannot beat the Baxter's soup. It's far superior to any of these other things. And I've been to the place where they make it, and it's fabulously made. And it's decent vegetables and, good Scottish vegetables and wonderfully made. And her daughter Audrey has taken over the company and runs it superbly and absolutely the best. I love, if you're going to have a tinned soup, because most people will go, ooh, I'm not having tinned soup. Well, honestly, I'd rather have Baxter's tinned soup than half of the rubbish that's in all those plastic containers. That's just a load of old hoity-toity old rubbish, and they add a naught to the price. So I'd rather have the Baxter's soup. But no, each to their own. If you want to have your fancy soup that costs twice the price, or you want to have your Heinz, have whatever you like. Doesn't matter, does it really? It's each to their own. I respect you all. So there we go. Right. I really, honestly would say, though, you cannot beat the Royal Game soup. I love a bit of that. Ooh, delicious. Or the parsnip, though, is by far the most.
Beef and potato.
No. The Baxter's parsnip soup. The shouting in the background is about some other kind. We can make our own soup, and quite frankly, I enjoy making soup. But If I'm going to eat tinned soup, I would eat the parsnip soup over everything else. Spicy parsnip soup. Wonderful. I could eat that every day. Lovely. No. Right. You make your own leek and potato soup. It freezes very well, says Jules B. Well, I bet it's delicious. William Evans makes French onion. Well, I'd love a bit of French onion soup, and that's what my friends were having for lunch today. They were off on the lookout for some French onion soup. Pip Field loves a French onion soup too. Leek and potato says, Keely sounds good to Lady Min. Yes, she hears you. Right. You picked up a carton of soup in a farm shop last week and you put it back when you saw it was £6. Well, there you go. You'd be better off with a tin of Baxter's, wouldn't you? So there we are. Metal in soups. Well, there's no metal in just because it comes from a tin. It doesn't mean there's metal in it. No, it's just been kept in a tin. That's all. Right. Miss Marple will be trying the parsnip soup in your next supermarket delivery. There you go. I should be a brand ambassador for Baxter's soup, shouldn't I? I shall have to ask Audrey if she will help me out there. I'd love a bit of more of that. I love that stuff. But anyway, no, I don't need to be given freebies by any of these people. I like to promote people who actually make things that are good, that are affordable, rather than all this pretentious crap that everybody else talks about. I like my simple soup. And you can get this wonderful soup in Waitrose or wherever you go. I don't know, some other supermarket sell Baxter's soup. I think Tesco's in Broadstairs even sold it. But they didn't have much of a range. They never had the parsnip, which was very disappointing. So, yeah, no, Baxter's soup. I'd recommend it over anything else. Don't buy all those pretentious packaged soups. They're all just in plastic packets, and they're probably just a load of old rubbish, probably full of additives. Awful. Buy yourself some Baxter's. Have some, you like celery and blue cheese, Julie says. Well, I'm not really into celery, but I don't know. We'd try it out. Mushroom soup is underrated. I love mushroom soup. Oh, that's another soup that's nice. But you've got to have the right kind of mushrooms in it. Very important. I can't believe we're talking about soup, but here we are. We're on to nearly 3 hours. I think it's time to go to bed soon because it's 11 o'clock and I did not sleep for a single hour last night. So it's better I go to bed. What flavor of pot noodle do I like? I haven't had one of those in maybe 20 years. So I can't remember what even was in them. You pour the water in and the noodles and the... I wouldn't say they were evil, but I wouldn't say they were very nice. So I can't have loved them that much because otherwise I wouldn't stop. Not like the mini cheddars I've always had all my life. I've never been without mini cheddars. So I cannot say that the pot noodle was ever exciting to me, can I? So I don't know. You're really into curry. Oh, I love a curry, and unfortunately in this place there's no curry. Nothing. There's this horrible Thai restaurant and it's disgusting. The food is like dog food. It's disgusting. I'd love to have some kind of curry or a Chinese even. I'd love to have Chinese. That's what I miss. also whilst here, because they don't have that. They just have this grim food that's not very nice in these kind of places. I believe there is a local marina where there is a place, so maybe we'll have to go there.
What?
There's a local marina where there is a
I
restaurant.
know.
I think we have to go to this.
It's called the Bedalon or Jardin Imperial.
Well, I think we have to pay it a visit.
It's very good.
Okay, well, we're going to pay that a visit if it's very good, because we've been to this thing called the Thai boat. It's literally like dog food, and they reheat food from, and it's just revolting. You can't eat that kind of nonsense. It's not. It's near a campsite, so it's supposedly to keep these happy campers happy camping. Well, they can queue up and have dog food if they want, but I don't need it. I'm not a snob, and everybody should eat decent food, but why would you overpay to sit and eat rubbish? But they must be stupid. Oh, it's definitely bright orange, Leslie. Oh, everything in there is bright orange. It's very strange, but all the locals have warned me that it is the worst restaurant for food poisoning. So we won't be going back there again. No, we've been there a number of times over the years, but it's not worth going back to, is it? After the last experience, it was so bad. Nope, not going there again. So no, we don't recommend the Thai boat restaurant in Port Grimaud. No, the Port Grimaud roundabout restaurant. Food poisoning hellhole. Awful. It's like Janet's Bar, but in Port Grimaud. It's suitable for the happy campers, so they're welcome to it if they wish to go, but don't go there. Right, best cook for yourself. Well, we did cook for ourselves tonight, but yeah, I haven't tidied the kitchen, but I'll have to do that in the morning because it's rather late now and it's time to go to bed shortly, and I'm getting a bit tired because I didn't sleep at all last night, so I'm ready to go to have a restful night soon. The best Chinese restaurant in London. Well, I like lots of Chinese restaurants. Min likes Chinatang. That's at the Dorchester Hotel. I also quite like, let me think, I quite like the Good Earth. She doesn't like the Good Earth, but I quite like it there. In Knightsbridge. I like, well, there used to be a wonderful place called Choi's, but sadly that closed down. That was wonderful. Everybody loved Choi's because the staff was so rude to you. It was just kind of part of the entertainment. The waitresses were just like absolute bitches who'd come up to you and go, "What do you want?" They were so rude. They were horrible. And that was part of the wonderful part of the entertainment of going there. I once had lunch there with a member of Al-Qaeda, which was very curious because the billionaire I worked for wanted to meet this crazy man who had written an article for the Daily Mail, and turned out he was a member of Al-Qaeda. That was curious. Yeah, we had many amazing. I had Christmas Eve once in this Choi's. It's a great shame it closed down. It was on the King's Road. It's now a boring restaurant called Rabbit, and the only time I've ever went there was with Barbara Minto, and we asked for some rabbit. They didn't even have rabbit. How curious. And then the owner put a shotgun out of the window on one occasion and tried to shoot a taxi driver. He was completely mad. Anyway, it was a great shame it didn't just stay as poor old Choi's, because we all loved Choi's. Other Chinese, I like the one on Baker Street. That's not bad. That's quite good. I go there with my friend Victoria. Very good. Royal China Garden. Yeah, I like that. I like simple Chinese food. I like sweet and sour chicken, all the, duck and pancakes and all that kind of. I like all the simple. I'm not being sophisticated Chinese food here.
Well, Broadstairs got a good one.
We had good Chinese in Broadstairs, absolutely fabulous down there. I can't remember its name, but yeah, I love a simple Chinese, absolutely. You hate the King's Road. It's so overrated. It's a waste of time and energy, says Harriet. I agree. The King's Road is just full of chain shops. It's boring. It's been wrecked. It's absolutely tedious. There's nothing worth to go there. You don't like Chinatown. Well, I do like Chinatown myself. I can't say I agree with you there, Harriet, on that one, but there we go. The Hyanese buffet at Golders Green was nice some decades ago. Ginger chicken was sublime. I think I'd like a ginger chicken. That sounds lovely. Lois used to like Laura Ashley on the King's Road. Well, I don't think Laura Ashley was a Chinese restaurant, Lois, but there we go. Good old Laura fell down the stairs in Wales, or did she fall, or was she pushed? We don't know, do we? I remember her and her husband because, various things. Yeah, what did she fall down the stairs, or anyway? He then got a title, so Bernard did very well out of the whole matter. Anyway, he's dead now too, so it doesn't really matter what we say about him because you can't defame the dead, can you? Yeah, let's leave it at that. But no, I don't think Laura Ashley was a Chinese restaurant. No, as far as I'm aware, no. Leslie makes her own Chinese food now. Well, perhaps you could send us some round. We'd love some. Anyway, we're going to go and try a local Chinese restaurant, perhaps tomorrow. Because I think we need to go and try something else for a change. Right. The Hyanese. Oh no, that's the same one. The China Grove. I don't know where the China Grove is. You had a meal in Chinatown. It was disgusting. Well, many of those places are very rat infested and horrible. I wouldn't want to go to many of those. But, if you're on a drunken night out and you're a student, like I used to be when I was at the London School of Economics, that's where we went after we'd gone to the pubs of Covent Garden or wherever we went, because it was near our university. That's the only reason we went there. We would never have gone there otherwise. Will you buy the Mars bar before I go for the Chinese? I don't know. We'll see what happens. Who knows? Right, a French Chinese restaurant. I don't know where that is. Okay. The Fatbergs. Oh, you mean the things in the sewers? I don't know what that's got to do with the Chinese, but that's got nothing to do with the Chinese restaurants, as far as I'm aware. You'd like a duck and a box of rice, says William. Oh, well. Right. Use Henry Huang's Hunan cookbook. Hunan. Oh, yes. Well, Hunan in Pimlico Road, I do go there with Jackie Roth. Yes, that's got a set menu, and you just have to have whatever you're told to have. It's a very fancy restaurant, but the food is delicious, but you just get what you're given. So, yeah, I do go. I've been there a couple of times, but it's very pricey. So it's one not to go to every week, unless you're very rich, and I'm not very rich. So there we go. But Hunan is not a bad place. It's just Wonga Wonga is very expensive. I think it's about 50 quid a head or something. But you cannot have anything other than what they tell you. But the food is fabulous, and it is an experience, and it's enjoyable. But yeah, Hunan, yeah, I like Hunan, but can't afford to go there very often. Right, okay. Deep fried Mars bar. No, I've never had one. Not because I'm snobbish about it or anything. It's just never been near an opportunity to have one. Even when I went to Glasgow, I don't know. Well, when I went to Glasgow, I think I ran away as a child and went to go and visit, like I did with Edinburgh. Because I used to get on a train as a child and go off and have adventures. My mother was very annoyed at me for these kind of things, but I used to go off and find myself place and just go. And I did it twice with Scotland. So I did go to Glasgow, and I remember going to visit all the Rennie Mackintosh museums there, but I never had a deep fried Mars bar. No, I wandered around and I wasn't very enthused by the whole thing. My sister ended up going to university in Glasgow, but I didn't really get the place. Whereas Edinburgh is such a lovely, lovely place. I'd love to go back. I'd love to go back to Glasgow too, so I could learn a bit more about it actually, because I don't think I learned enough. So I must go back actually. So cheers to Glasgow. But no, I love. Have I had deep fried ice cream? No, I've never had that. Right. They have wonderful betting shows in Glasgow. Does my sister watch my shows? Probably no. She's too busy. She's busy in Switzerland, and she's busy working. She's a doctor and eye surgeon, and she's a very busy person, my sister. So no, I don't think she has time to watch me. She probably thinks I'm completely mad. But we do get along. We send the odd message to one another from time to time. We talk from time to time. So yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with me and my sister, but I don't think she's really interested in all of this. Well, me talking a load of nonsense. So she's probably got better things to do. Right. Your husband was a drainage engineer. Oh, well. I'm not going to repeat the next part because it's a bit offensive. LOL. Okay. Right. I never know what LOL means because it could mean lots of love, lots of laughs, lots of likes. So LOL is one of those acronyms that is a bit of all over the place. So Giles Brandreth should have dealt with it a bit better because in his book, he didn't really deal with LOL, in my view, because I've always been confused by LOL. Min, what would you say LOL means?
About what?
LOL. What does it mean?
LOL.
LOL.
It's that's something to do with the garden.
No, LOL. An acronym. What does it stand for?
I'd say it's a girl's name, Lola.
She thinks it means Lola. She doesn't understand my question. I'm very sorry. LOL, what does it mean? What does it stand for? Initials for what? Acronym. It's an acronym. What does it mean? No, she doesn't get it. Because it could mean lots of likes. It could mean lots of love. It could mean lots of love. It could mean all sorts of things. Laughing out loud. Yes, that's another one. It's a stupid, stupid thing because it doesn't, who knows what it means? It's a stupid, stupid thing. I can't stand it when people go LOL. Absolutely silly. David Cameron thought it meant lots of love. Right. No, Harriet, don't worry. It's fine. Don't worry. I can keep going. It's 3 minutes, 3 hours now. Wow. It's laugh out loud, says you. It's living out life. There we go. Well, it's not laughing my ass off, LMFO, because that's a different thing. No, that's not correct, Fern folks. Sorry, you're completely wrong. Because LOL. No, it's either living out life, which is a new one on me. Laugh out loud, lots of love. What's that kind of thing? It's it's lots of love. Yep, it's got all sorts of meanings. So Harriet says officially it's laughing out loud. Well, I don't think it is, actually. No, I think you could be all wrong. It could be any one of these number of things. I think I shall have to consult Giles Brandreth. So we will come back to you about laughing LOL. There we go. Right. Anyway.
Lots of love. Everybody uses it.
No, it has got many different meanings. Anyway, yes, Harriet is quite correct. I think it is time to end this program. We've been going for 3 hours and 16 minutes. And I thank you all for your kind attention. There's still over hundreds of you here. So thank you. Thank you very much. Right. So what I will say is we hope to welcome you back again tomorrow. And, here we are. And happy evening to you all. Good gardening. Take care. Look after yourself. Sleep tight. Don't let the bugs bite. Okay? Take care. Good night.